remember summer in its wake. The heart of September left nothing more to say. Just show me what it's worth. I wanna hear you say these words. From the light into the dark, it'll be alright. Did I speak too soon? I wanna harbor you through all the ways this life could be so cruel. If the storm breaks through, I'll be the light for you, holding on when everything it feels so blue. Letting it linger, what I thought was everything I had of you, wrapped round my finger like a puppet on a string. So where are you right now? Find me when the stars turn out. All you vampires gather around here in the night. Did I ask too much? Maybe it's not enough for now. We close the door and feel the rush. Or am I answering something close to home? It's bigger than the two of us would own. I've fallen for you in a way that I thought that I'd never do. Oh, it taught me the way to never be used. I'll make a promise to you, alleviate every sky, be honest and true. All the games, there's no excuse, no more running away. Did I speak too soon? I wanna harbor you through all the ways this life could be so cruel. If the storm breaks through, I'll be the light for you, holding on when everything it feels so blue. I'll be there with you still, till the darkness starts to spill over you and everything that we've ever built.
Yes, lads, how we doing? Smash the likes up. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. New tune released today by Mercy Kelly. If you like that sort of music, go search it up. Mercy Kelly on Spotify, all those sort of apps. Speak Too Soon, the new song. And they've got a gig actually in Manchester in September, so I'll probably go into that. See you guys there for the people that are joining. If you guys haven't seen the news, it's popped off today, man. To be fair, it's been dead for like the last week or so. It's been absolutely dead. So we finally got some news that's come out. Ederson apparently is on his way to Galatasaray. The Times are now saying that there is genuine interest in Ederson from Galatasaray. So there's some UK sort of backing on that now as well. And Sky Sports News are now reporting Manchester City have contacted Burnley over the signing of James Trafford, which of course, for me, it's just like it's going to happen because we've got a release, we've got a buyback, 40 million, 45 million. So that's probably going to happen straight away. So yeah, there's a poll going on right now in the chat. So make sure you guys are voting on that. 4 different options for you guys to sort of categorize yourself into it. And of course, we've got the lads joining us, Danny, Joe, Bevel, and Tarek. Yeah, fucking hell, boys. Can you believe it? Fucking Ederson's actually going. Like that is, and we're getting Trafford as a replacement. Danny, bro, I'm going to start off with you. This is some move for City, isn't it? Getting rid of Ederson, a seasoned veteran, 31 years old, been at the club for ages, to go and get a 22-year-old that's had one season in the Prem. Talk to me, man. What are you saying?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Trafford's been someone I've watched since I'm a big academy guy since the pandemic. I've always been a big fan of him. And we've really seen this season what he's able to do. Of course, you can sort of put it on to like the fact he's had a competent defense in front of him. But this season, he's really sort of shown his high ceiling. He's been at Euros with England under 21, saved 2 penalties in a game. A huge upgrade shot stopping wise. I think that's what a lot of people in the chat and just across social media wanted. And this is what we're getting. Of course, it's a big gamble. And I get that side of the argument. But, I've done my research. I've looked at all the current goalkeepers in the Premier League. And a lot of them are actually homegrown and have come from humble beginnings like Trafford has. You look at Raya, for example, excellent goalkeeper, came through at Blackburn, went to Brentford, and Arsenal took a punt on him. You look at, whether you like Robert Sanchez or not, he was down there with Rochdale, Forest Green. Brighton picked him up and he went to Chelsea. Even Pickford, who's now England's #1, he was in non-league for a lot of his career. So, yeah, every goalkeeper comes from somewhere. Even Martinez, he was in the Championship, Oxford, Wolves. And now look where he is now. So you have to give these players a chance at times, and I'm all for it. Joe Hart as well. I was going to bring him up. Shrewsbury, Birmingham.
Bro, is it actually like, because I've not really seen too much of Trafford last year. I've seen him in the Premier League. Is it a material upgrade in the shot stopping department? Because that's the area that a lot of City fans have been saying. If we're going to get a new keeper, there need to be a better shot. Is it a material upgrade in that area?
Oh, absolutely. I've watched him for like 5 years now. He's always had an incredible reflexive save in his locker, no matter what level he's played at. It's been the case. And that wasn't really the complaint when he was in the Premier League. The complaint when he was in the Premier League is he doesn't command his box well enough. That is a worry for me. That was a worry with me with Ederson as well. Always felt like he stayed on this line during corners, and that sort of scuppered us a bit. But, we'll see if he can grow into it. We have a very good goalkeeping sort of coach set up, and we'll see if he can improve.
Yeah, here's the tweet before, lads, as well. The Sky Sports are now confirming it as well. Man City have approached Burnley over re-signing goalkeeper James Trafford. Again, this for me pretty much means that it's a done deal because we've got a buyback clause on him. So, yeah, this is pretty much as confirmed as it can be. And I'll just clarify something as well, yeah. This guy ain't coming in to sit on the bench. I've seen some people say, how do you know he's an Ederson replacement? He could be number 2. City not going to spend £45 million on a number 2 goalkeeper. Come on, man. I can't even believe I have to say that, but he's not going to be a number 2 keeper. He's coming in and he's going to be a number 1. The rumoured fee, the buyback clause, is 45 mil. Rumoured. Might be 40, it might be 50, whatever. So in that sort of area. So this is the guy. This is the Ederson replacement. And yeah, it's not been confirmed completely, but fucking hell, you've got all the Turkish news coming out saying Ederson's going there. Times are now confirming that Ederson is being actively pursued by Galatasaray. Apparently, he's agreed personal terms, and then you get this. Come on, man, you just have to connect the dots. Joe, what are you saying? And then lads, just jump in, whatever. Joe, what are you saying on this, man?
Yeah, I don't know. On the one hand, I think Ederson is like, as much as there's been some discussion about his shot stopping, I think it's probably fair criticism on his shot stopping, to be fair, in a lot of ways. I just think he's the best goalkeeper that we could possibly have for our system and everything like that. So on the one hand, I'm gutted to see the back of him, particularly when you look at the amount of money that Galatasaray are offering us. If it starts at 3 million, it's unlikely that it's going to end at 20 plus million. It's probably going to end at like 10, 15 maybe. Which I don't know how I feel. He's got 1 year left on his deal, and he's wanted out for a couple of years now. So I don't necessarily know how I feel about that. Really, that might just be what we feel like we've got to do to get someone who obviously doesn't want to be here off the books. On the Trafford side of things, it's who I would want to replace him. I think it's a no-brainer for a lot of reasons. Number one, he's homegrown, which is a big problem that we've got in the squad. He's also homegrown by us, which is an even better thing. Like, the more of those that you can get, the better. And I just think that, this guy's probably going to be England's number 1 for going forward. Like, obviously, Pickford's got this next tournament cycle. Maybe he has another tournament cycle after that. I don't know for sure.
I don't think he could sneak it though. This World Cup, I think he might be able to sneak it. If he comes in and has a good year, he needs to have a good year, doesn't he? But if he comes in, and has a solid year.
he'd have to have an incredibly good year, but I think that this year will be like a bit of a transit. If let's say we sell Ederson, I know there's been some rumours as well that Burnley will want Ortega to replace Trafford, and I don't personally see us getting rid of both Ederson and Ortega in one transfer window because we've got to sign a backup keeper then as well as Trafford. So I think that this season Pep will probably say to Ortega, "Look, you and Trafford are going to sort of have it out for the first however long of the season." I think there'll be some minutes split between the two of them at first. And by the end of the season, it'll probably end with Trafford being the number one, which will be the plan anyway, because obviously Ortega's only got 1 year left on his deal. He's probably not going to be here after that. So it makes no sense to make Ortega the long-term number one, but there will be minutes for him. So I don't really see it being a season 4 Trafford where like he comes in, immediately stakes his place as number one, and then is it like, you know, the obvious candidate for the number one spot for England, especially when Pickford's never ever really, in my opinion, never really put a foot wrong for England. Like it would seem like a bizarre time to do it unless he has a mad drop off this season with Everton. But yeah, for me, Trafford's the ideal replacement because I think that he's the guy who you can sort of look at as being the guy for the next 10 plus years. When you look at the other name that we've been linked with this summer, which realistically is just Diogo Costa, I see absolutely nothing there. That I think you've mentioned this before, LB, but like I've never watched him and thought this is the guy. I've always thought this guy's a bit meh. He's a bit like average. Now, obviously, that's based on limited appearances that I've seen play for one Porto, which is usually in the Champions League and most of the time against better opposition, and B Portugal, where you know international football maybe isn't the best barometer for how good a footballer is. But yeah, it's mad. I didn't really think Ederson was going to go anywhere this summer because I think that there were rumours earlier in the summer that, you know, Pep mentioned that he wanted to keep him. I think Ederson, there's been some talk that Ederson's been quite happy to just stay and see out the deal.
Ederson said like, "Oh, it was fake news, and it was 99% fake news." But
yeah,
people
exactly.
need to stop listening to players, man. Players lie all the time, man.
It's crazy, innit? So I think it's a bit mad that we are now going to be seeing the back of him effectively. But if he's been gone, if he's been wanting out for the last 12 months, and no matter how much I think that he is the best keeper for us, I think you've been able to see over the last 12 months that his performances have dipped. Like his head has been, even if it's just 5 or 10%, his head has not been in it the same way that it has been in seasons gone by. So and I think at that point the club are just cutting the losses and just going, right, let's... the other thing as well with Trafford, this is the last thing I'll say on it, but the other thing with Trafford is that with the Newcastle factor as well, with them sort of getting involved in it, Trafford feels like a now or never kind of signing. If we don't get him this summer, he has gone to Newcastle. Yeah, and now obviously Newcastle could have a disastrous next 5 years where it turns out that they've got some financial problems, they've got to sell him or whatever. But in 5 years' time, Newcastle could be our title rivals, and we have no chance of getting this guy out of there. They have England's number one. They have another one of our academy products who's gone on to be like a world-class player somewhere else. It feels like something we have to do, and it feels like maybe you have to. Maybe part of the thinking is that in maybe seasons gone by where we might have gone, no, Ederson, we aren't getting enough money for you. We're going to keep you. Maybe this season, maybe this summer, we're just going, right, well, Trafford's there. We can do it. So off you go, even if it's maybe for less money than we would have wanted. But it feels like a bit of an acceleration of that goalkeeper replacement process.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, just quickly, Tarek, yeah, I think that, like, the fact that Newcastle was in for him early in the window and then the deal stalled, and I said it on the stream that I did before, right? But I smelt some bullshit then when I seen that Newcastle weren't prepared to pay 40 million, and I was like, hang on a minute, you try to sign the next English number one goalkeeper for the next 10, 15 years. 40 million is like the sort of going rate, and I thought so much sus about that, but I never really like properly connected the dots, and now it's obviously happening. It's a brave call, Tarek. I knew he was going to say something then, but like there's a lot of faith being put in Trafford here from the club, isn't there?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I don't know enough to say it's going to work or not going to work, but what I will say is that it's a big call. And yes, we know Ederson was probably on his way out the club. Even if it didn't happen this season, there wasn't any agreement for next seasons or seasons beyond that. So he was going to be out. So to take someone that's been with us for all these years, who's settled, who knows the style of play that we play. And again, Trafford does all of those things as well. But Ederson was kind of like the perfect built keeper for a Pep system. I don't know that there's anyone else that is as uniquely and perfectly fit for this system as he is. Now we'll see if Trafford or whoever else, in this case it's probably Trafford, can step in and fill those shoes. But I caution us as a fan base, not the 5 of us here on this stream, and probably not even most of the people in the chat, but the folks out on the social media streets, right? We have to be careful because we're very we came for Ederson these last few months, right? This last season. And we're going to put a lot of pressure on Trafford coming in to be perfect. And no player is perfect. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to flap on a cross, or he's going to, not whatever. He's going to make a mistake. And then are we going to, because that's my frustration with our fan base at the moment, is just how quickly we have turned on so many players, and not just that, but just how aggressive and toxic the vitriol has become. I just hate that for us, and I hope that we allow this player or whoever it ends up being to come in and continue to grow. But we're in a win now mentality, and so he has to come in and kind of hit the ground running. He doesn't really get a chance, unfortunately for him, to kind of come in and he doesn't get the benefit. Well, I guess they're gonna, if he gets him in before Palermo, but he's probably going to, first couple matches is going to be real matches, unless of course Ortega is the one that kind of goes as the primary. So I think all in all, it's a big call. I think it's one that we needed to make. I advocated for bringing in a new keeper just because I didn't think if Ederson was going to sign, then we should have moved on. If he wasn't going to re-sign and sign an extension, then we needed to move on. And so this is what we're doing. I'm going to get behind it. I hope for his sake that, he comes good, but he's got all the components and the pieces and the makeup that you would expect. He's an academy kid. He's played through our system. He's tall. He's a big dude. So I think he has everything it will take to make it. I just hope that it does. And I hope we give him the time that he'll need to adapt. So.
Yeah. No, I hear it, man. Smash these likes up, people, if you're not done so already. Bevo, what are you saying, man? Where was you on the goalkeeper situation? Remind me of your position like a month ago, where you was at.
Yeah, so I was pretty much the same with everyone else. I think Ederson, I tried to keep the faith. I wasn't hugely sold on his shot stopping abilities, but I looked at it from a different perspective of, realistically, most games that we play, we don't really have that many shots on goal. So I could argue the fact that, most of the games, he only needs to maybe make 1, 2, maybe 3 saves at a push. But the trend that I've seen sort of last season, and especially a little bit of the Club World Cup, is that we're still really, really leaky at the back, and we're conceding a lot of opportunities. And I've seen someone in the chat saying that Trafford's shot stopping abilities is like, I think he's got like a save percentage of like 84%.
Yeah, check that out. Look at that, Bevo.
Yeah, crazy. Now, bearing in mind, that's 84% for Burnley. Like, I'm not trying to do Burnley any disservice, but when they were in the Premier League, they weren't the greatest of teams, so you can expect a team like that to concede goals. I think moving forward, if he can settle in and secure sort of like the number 1 spot, there's also an opportunity. I think Newcastle at the moment are looking at Savona from Juventus, which frees up a right back position for Livramento as well. So moving forward, we're going to be looking like quite a young squad, especially with the goalkeeper having at least 10 years in him. Right back, probably about the same. And then you look at the wingers, 21, 22, even Erling Haaland's not even hit the prime yet. So, he's got at least 8, 9, 10 years at a top level in him. So you're looking back from where we were a few years ago and then looking moving forward, especially with like Juma Bar and Kusanov and all the other sort of young players that we've brought in. Our team's now looking a lot younger, but younger with experience. Now I think that's crucial, because you look at like Chelsea's sort of business model, and theirs was just like buy anyone that's classed as to be like a wonder kid. Whereas we're actually buying players with Premier League experience, with Championship experience at least, and top league experience throughout the world. You even look at Turkey. He's really young. He was one of the best creators in Europe last season in Ligue 1. So you look at the team moving forward, and you think, yeah, it's young, but it's experienced, and I like that, because we've not just gone and bought like the next best thing or supposedly the next best thing. We're actually bringing in players that are young but proven. And I think,
but big question, Bevel: are they young but proven? But are they good enough?
Yeah, and good enough. Yeah. I think that's crucial. To bring in those kind of caliber of players where you're quite happy to spend 40 million on them, because you're going to get 10 years out of him, and even if he doesn't make it, say he has 2-3 seasons with us and he's been okay but not great, you could probably still make profit on him anyway. So I'm happy with Trafford. I think he is the next bright thing for England. You also look at Livramento. England are looking at right back positions now that Kyle Walker's coming to the end of his career. So they're two spots which we could solidify the England goalkeeper and England right back position for the next 10 years if we bring him in. So
yeah, you know what it is for me, right? It's like on this Trafford thing, and I get some people are mad concerned about it. Don't get me wrong, I'm concerned. I'm a bit like skeptical, and to be honest with you, I think anyone that's not like skeptical is a bit fucking mad brave, because the facts are 2 years ago he was in the Prem, and if he plays like that for City, we're cooked, right? However, what I don't think there is, I don't think there's a clear and obvious option that doesn't bring an element of risk in this position. The facts are, whenever you sign a player, you're going to get risk, yeah? And when you get a goalkeeper, it's going to be risky. And I look at Costa, and as Joe said before, bro, I'm not convinced on him, yeah? So if we got him, I would be convinced. And like even Chevalier at Lyon, man, like I've seen some people saying LB, he's mad overhyped. Some people ain't watched him, and he's mad overhyped. Sorry, brother.
I was just going to add on what you said. Like, it is a risk, but before Ederson, we brought in Barcelona's number one in Claudio Bravo, and that
American winner, Champions League winner, and look how that turned out.
So I think there's going to be an element of risk, but you could bring someone in with real proven experience at top level, and they might not work. So
Onana. Onana, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? Fucking hell. I mean, we could have him.
Onana was my name. Onana.
And if you would have seen him against us, then we would have said we would have all been on board.
Yeah.
And we would have seen how wrong.
That's why I'm sort of like, have your reservations on that, but let's not pretend that there's another goalkeeper out there that it would 100% coming in and we'd all be like, yeah, he's absolutely fine. Like there's risk with everyone. And by the way, I think this is one of the riskiest goalkeepers we could have signed. Let me just have it right. I do think that doesn't mean I don't like it. I'm not sitting here saying I'm buzzing with it, because I'm not, but I wouldn't have been buzzing with any goalkeeper. Like, I don't know. But this is a risk, and I think this, again, for me, is another sign that Viana, for me, is 100% like more risk-taking. than
Yeah.
Tiki. There's no way Tiki signs Trafford, in my opinion. I don't see it.
No, if it's cheeky, it is 100% Diogo Costa that we go for. Like, there's no way. There's no, and I think everybody's a downgrade on Ederson realistically. Like, no matter what, like it's going to be worse than it has been for the last 3 or 4 years. This season coming at least, like, and probably for the next year after that, maybe even the year after that as well, because this guy's 21, 22, is it? Trafford,
22.
like he's not. Yeah, so he's got plenty of developing to do as a goalkeeper anyway. I mean, most keepers don't hit the primes until like 30 years old. Like, it's not like, you know, he's got a way to go yet. But the ceiling's obviously very high. Like, the club, everyone around the academy and everyone like within the club knows exactly what he's about and what he can do. On the saves percentage thing, is that, I'm assuming that's based on last season and not just in total of his time at the club. Yeah, is this based on last season? Or
Jordan in the chat. Jordan, where you get these stats from, brother?
Because
let us know in the chat.
Because let's just assume that it is. Let's just say that is from last season. Like, Ederson, and this is kind of yeah. So this is kind of where you can do like a bit of, there's pros and cons. Like, on the one hand, he's got a decent save percentage in the Championship, where Burnley are probably dominating every single game, and the quality of the opposition is not the Premier League. He's not coming against Mo Salah in the Championship. He's not coming up against fucking Gyökeres in the Championship, or, you know, who else is actually good in the Premier League as a striker that isn't playing for us? I don't even know. But yeah, basically, you know, he's not coming up against like the top level, like, elite attackers that there are. He's not coming up against Isak in the Championship. He's coming up against, like, I don't know, whoever plays for Sheffield now. I don't have a clue. So there's that. But then on the other hand, he has that experience of playing for a team like Burnley, who they ran away with the Championship. Like, they were a team that dominated everyone. That you know, presumably, I don't know this for a fact. I haven't looked at the stats, but they kept so many clean sheets. It's hard to imagine that they faced a lot of shots compared to every other team. I think someone said before, 104 saves. Now, over a 46 game season, that's basically 2 shots a game, isn't it? Really, or 2 shots on target a game against him that he's made a save out of. Which, for what we do and for what our games typically look like, where most of our undoing comes from that we have 1 or 2 shots against us that are on target and they're quite good, so they go in. You know, it's good to see that Trafford maybe has the experience with playing for a team that is that dominant in a league and evidently is quite good at it.
Yeah, spot on.
But then on the other hand, you can almost look at that save percentage and go, right, okay, it's a good save percentage, but it is in the Championship, and that isn't necessarily going to translate to the Premier League, where the quality of opposition he's facing is going to be of a much higher standard than it has just been in the league that he's in. Like, if he was coming off the back of, you know, if he'd have been playing for Burnley, you know, if those save stats were from last season when Burnley were in the Premier League, for example, and he just got relegated, but he had a 84% save percentage, I'd be like, cool, like, this guy can obviously save. This guy's obviously got a high, decent save percentage in the Premier League, fine. But that save percentage being so high in the league below the Premier League, I'm kind of like, Oh, there you go. He's just put in there, when Trafford played in the Prem, he faced 166 shots on target and saved 106. So that's like a 66%.
64%, yeah.
Yeah, so that's worse than Ederson in that case then from the last season. So, I mean, it's as we all know, it's a risk. But obviously, the difference between playing for a team like Burnley, who are relegation fodder and are going to get absolutely battered. Also, he was 19 at the time, I think. He was 19, 20 at the time. If he's 22 now, that is obviously very different to playing for a team like us, where realistically you're coming up against like 4 or 5 shots on target at most every game, and sort of, yeah, it's tricky. It's really difficult to sort of know where you stand on it in terms of that being like a good thing or being a huge concern.
That's why I think you've just got to be like, not accept it. If you don't want to accept it, don't fucking accept it. But just like, I don't think like with a goalkeeper, like not now, like maybe 20 years ago where there's pure players about, yeah. But like now, I just think you just have to fucking just wing it and just hope for the best. Because I'm not, you know, mate, you could have got that Costa from fucking Porto I would be having the same fucking conversations.
No, the narrative 3 months ago in this chat is that he's shit, and now everyone wants him. I don't get it.
I remember us
You talking about Costa?
having a conversation. I'm pretty sure it was about Turkey on one of our last panel shows. And the one thing which I'm pretty sure it was either me or LB or someone said was that he backs himself. And he's got a little bit of arrogance about himself to say, look, I can do it. I can come in and I can play that position as the tendency. I feel the same with Trafford. You know, he had that interview at Accrington and he said, look, I will be England's number one and I will be City's number one. And, you know, I like that. He backs himself. He's got that bit of arrogance. And that sometimes can be the difference between being a good player and a great player. Is that having that self-confidence, and I'm kind of just hoping that rings true.
Yeah, this is what you're on about, innit? So he said, when I played at Accrington, I told people I'd play for England, play for Man City. The people around me believe in me. I still completely believe I will. It is clearer to bystanders now that it's going to happen. I like, obviously not for everybody, right? But I'm with Bevel. I personally like it when players back himself. And I know some people call it arrogant, some people call it egotistical. I want someone like this in my team. I like players like this. I don't really gravitate towards players who are just like, nah.
I think we need to see more of this from like Phil Foden.
And from academy players in general, you see too many feed into the whole, everyone will end up where they end up. This guy's fighting against it. This guy's saying, I'm not going to get stuck in the loan system. I'm not going to get stuck playing for championship clubs, because we've seen how unsuccessful loans are for us. And this guy's actively saying, and Savinho did the same. When Savinho first joined CFG, he said, I want to play for City. And look, here he is now. We need ambition. Ambition is great.
Unlike Issa Kabore, who was at Troyes or whatever and was like, nah, I don't want to go back to City. I'm happy here. Now, where is it?
Now he's rotting away at Werder Bremen. Exactly.
Yeah, to be fair, a lot of our academy lads have ambition. It's precisely why they leave, because they don't want to sit on the bench for 3 years of their career.
Hey, Palmer wanted to go to Chelsea. There you
go. Fucking hell, Joe. Smash these likes up, guys, if you've not done so already. Man, keep your comments coming in. I'll keep them putting as many as I can on screen, and make sure you voted in the poll. We'll keep that poll running. Currently, the poll options was thoughts on Trafford. The options were buzzing. I'm okay with it. I'd rather we didn't. Or nah, bro, what the fuck is this? Club's finished. The current leader is I'm okay with it, 48%. 38% are buzzing, which I think is way more than I anticipated. 7% of people saying I'd rather we didn't, and 7% of people saying nah, the club's finished. I'm quite surprised how positive that is, because a lot of the times I get told that everybody in my chat's bare negative, and the majority of people are saying they're happy with it. 38% of people are saying that they're buzzing. So keep voting in the poll if you've not done so already. And let me come to some of these chats. Big up to Mojis, who says, big up for 15 months, bro. I appreciate it. It says, freeze up a non-homegrown spot. Got to take the carpet out from under Liverpool on Rodrigo. Yeah, we ain't, bro.
Not happening. Definitely not.
That's not happening, bro. We got to be happy with Trafford, innit? But yeah, it does. It obviously gives you a homegrown. Go on, Tarek.
And no, I was going to say, and I think that's the other part that really, at least in my head at least, really drives this decision, right? Because if he wasn't homegrown, would we have gone from? Probably not, because I think we would have gone for Diego Costa. I think that's what we wanted. I think that was what Viana, Pep, whatever. I think their plan was to go for Diego Costa. Now I could be wrong there, but I think when you have the homegrown situation that we have, and our inability, at least to this point, to get like a Tino Livramento over the line, get some other players out, whatever. Here's an opportunity to get rid of a keeper. And I say get rid of, but to move a keeper on and bring in one that happens to also be homegrown. I think it does. I think that was the deciding factor, in my opinion. I don't think he's only because he's homegrown, because I think, there's other homegrown keepers out there, but I think he has the potential to be the number one. He has the potential to continue to grow with the club, but let's not, ignore the fact that part of it, probably a big part of it, is because he is homegrown. But I think he does have the ability. Now, just again, you just got to go out there and do it. But I also question with the the links to, and I'm not suggesting, and this is me being conspiracy theory. I live in the U.S. Everything's a conspiracy theory over here. But any thought that, because we know Newcastle wanted him, we actually wanted to get Livramento. They're not playing ball with us. Okay, we need a homegrown player. We can go get this keeper. Is there any sense of, well, if they'll give us Livramento, we'll back off?
No.
At the end of the day, we're still going to need a keeper. So do we if we get Livramento? I guess the question comes down to this: if we get Livramento, do we instead go for Diego Costa?
No, we can't do that.
I think Livramento's dead.
I think even if we even if we go for Livramento, you're spending what 60-70 million on Livramento, and then Diogo Costa's going to cost more than the buyback on Trafford. So it makes no sense for us to reward Newcastle by spending an extra 20 million on another keeper somewhere else for us getting Livramento. And yeah, I think that I think there's an element of it where maybe we've just gone, oh, you know what? If you're not going to give us Livramento, then fuck it. We'll have your goalkeeper then. We'll have this guy you're going to go for then. There might be a little bit of that pettiness involved. I doubt that it's even.
Well, I think at the end of the day, we have to get someone that's homegrown, right? We have to get somebody in, whether it's at this position or a different one. We have to get somebody in that's homegrown. We have the luxury of someone that we know. He's been through our system. It makes sense. I'm not suggesting that it doesn't. It does make sense. I'm just wondering if the homegrown thing wasn't on the table, would we have made a different choice?
I think you're right in the sense that, yeah. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I don't think that it frees up a non-homegrown spot, because I think that they're looking at this thinking now, right, okay, well, Walker's gone. He's gone to Burnley. I also think that this is a way of Jack moving out of the door, because if we get rid of Jack, we would have to find another homegrown player. I think bringing in this keeper doesn't free up a non-homegrown spot. I think it replaces Jack for the homegrown. It's
a weird one with the homegrowns, because you don't technically need to have all your homegrown spots filled. So, I know what you mean in terms of. I think the Champions League is probably a little bit more important than the Premier League, but at the end, but we could, in theory, let Grealish go, and Walker go, and not sign any homegrown players. But we just have to have less players as a result of that. So yeah, you're kind of right in the sense that we do need to buy homegrown players so we can have the 22, 23 that Pep wants. But yeah, I think I think you're right, Tarek, in that the homegrown factor is probably a reason why we are going for him instead of Diogo Costa. Like you say, I think in a perfect world where our squad's already pretty well set up on the homegrown versus non-homegrown side of things, maybe we do just go for Costa, because they probably view him as more ready-made and more like established, rather than Trafford, who is undoubtedly going to need 2-3 years of development. But then on the other hand, Viana's probably looking at it thinking, my job isn't just to come in here and give Pep what he wants for the next 12 to 18 months. My job is to come in here and worry about what this club's going to look like in 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
I like that,
here.
Joe. I like that, because the thing is, and listen, who knows whether these deals are going to work for Hayes, Huzanov, and Trafford? But if they don't, Viana's head will be gone. You know what I mean? These are his decisions. He's making these calls, and whether you agree with them or not, and I agree with the majority of them. And on the Trafford one, I just don't know, because I don't know what goalkeeper I'd get in this situation. I'm glad that he's coming in. He's putting his balls on the line. And he's saying, you know what? I'm not going to go for the obvious choices. I'm not going to go for this obvious signing. I think he's better, and he's he's better value, and he's a better player. So fuck what everybody else thinks. I'm signing him. He's backing his football IQ, and I'd rather have someone like that, who actually backs it. And listen, he'll get some wrong, and he might get this one wrong. Trafford might be shit. Who knows, right? But I'd rather have someone that comes in and says, I'm doing it this way. If you don't want me, go and get someone that's just going to go and do everything. You know what I mean? And who knows whether it's going to work. You know what I mean? But I'd rather have someone like that. You know, I don't want sheep at my club. I want someone, like I don't want these coaches who are just going to be yes men to Pep. I want people to challenge Pep. You know what I mean? I want a sporting director who says to Pep, well, you're not having him because you're the coach and I'm the guy who picks the players, so I'm going to do it. And you know what? If he gets bang, 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 and he gets some more shit and we'll see you later. He'll get sacked.
I'm also...
just as if a normal manager does bad, they get sacked. If he does shit, he'll get sacked. That's what I want.
I'm also a bit sick of this is, don't get me wrong, this is one of the great things about Cheeky, because at the end of the day, it gets you a lot of great players for relatively decent fees. But I'm a bit sick of like every problem that we have at the club just being solved by a 60 million release clause being just activated somewhere. Like, there's got to be, we need some of these squad holes to be filled with
45 million buybacks instead.
Yeah, that's fine if it's a because that is ultimately the academy kind of process doing its job. If we get if you know, every 4 or 5 years we get a Trafford come back and genuinely become part of the first team squad, well, you know, that's why we sold him to Burnley with a buyback, innit? We did it so that if he came good enough, which and obviously we knew Ederson probably has one eye out on the door in the next few years. His contract's coming up in 3 years' time from the time we sold Trafford, and that might end up being a problem. We have the security of that buyback being there. That's great, but I think in terms of the Viana approach to transfers, like, I like it because you need to have a couple of just like risks in the squad, a couple of like players who are young, who can develop, who maybe they come in and they surprise Pep, and next thing you know, you've got Kusanov starting the first 6-7 games of his City career before not seeing the pitch again because we have to give fucking Lons another 4 or 5 mil if we play him again. I don't know what it was that was going on there, but yeah, I think it's just it's good that we obviously I don't want every signing to be a Trafford or a Kusanov or a Race or a Hayes or something like that. But then that's why we've got Reinders. That's why we've got Cherky coming. Obviously, Cherky's also young, but he's coming in with 3-4 years of first team experience at a top European club. Like, as long as these 20-21-year-olds who are coming in to complement squad players that we're getting, who are the serious ones. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's exactly it. Then I'm absolutely fine with this. And obviously, Trafford's a bit of a mix of the two because he is a young guy, but he's ultimately, no matter what, he's going to be our number one come the end of the season. If he joins, by the end of the season, even if there's a little bit of an integration process with him and Ortega, by the end of the season, Trafford will be the number one at the age of 22, 23. So, I mean,
there's also a massive upside to it. Like,
yeah,
he walks into the training ground. He knows most of the staff that work there, whether it be the chefs or whatever. He knows the city inside and out. He understands the style of play and the football that we play because he's been here from the academy right the way up. So he effectively just walks in and just settles himself in pretty much straight away. There's not really going to be a bedding in period where it's like, oh, you know, I need to find a house, or, you know, I need to go and, you know, I need to get used to the training facilities. He literally just walks in and knows where everything is. So I think that's a massive upside as well.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, just quickly sticking with it. I'll come to Super Chats in a sec. Yeah, just quickly sticking with this homegrown thing, right? Obviously, yeah, we're in a situation where we're letting a lot of homegrown players go. We're already maxed out on non-homegrown as it is, and we need to get rid of some players. Obviously, Ederson will be one. Akanji might be another. He's been another one that's been linked today with a move to Turkey. Gundogan, you would think maybe gets moved on. And maybe Kovacic, if he can get fit before the window, maybe he'll moved on, right? But the fact is, yeah, like, we'll probably need one or two more, maybe one more after this. Maybe two, just to keep it smooth, because you don't want to be in this situation where, you know, an English player knocks on Pep's door next year and says, I want to go, and then you're back in square one again. Do you know what I mean? So, and if you look around the current best England players, who's available that you can actually get, who's going to be happy coming to City? Because if you look at there's only a few that are available that I would look at in the market, and they both wouldn't join City. One's Mark Guehi, because he ain't sitting on the bench because he won't get in the team over Gvardiol. And the same with Branthwaite. He wouldn't sit on the bench either. So then, who else are you going to get? There's not many right backs out there. You could go and get Tino Livramento from Newcastle, but they don't want to sell him, and that's going to cost 80 million. Yeah, who else is? You know what I mean? So you look at maybe the guy at Palace. What's his name? Wharton. Maybe we could make a move for him next year. It's going to be a lot of money to maybe replace sort of a Bernardo Silva type player. But other than that, what you're looking at, Gibbs White. Half this fucking fan base was up in arms when we were being linked with Gibbs White, saying he was absolutely dog shit. But the problem is, who's out there? Arsenal have just signed Madueke, mate, for 50 million quid. Like, this is where we're at. Like, and this is why I was saying yesterday, I think these rules need to be relaxed a little bit, because I think they're way too stringent. You know, I think they've done the job. Yeah, when England was shit 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we couldn't even get in a tournament. Now we're getting to finals, semi-finals. The purpose of the job is done. I think they need to just be relaxed a little bit and maybe just allow one less or give us one more non-home.
I think the problem with that is that the problem with that is that they probably have to stay the same just because it's relatively similar to the Champions League, like the UEFA competitions format of things. So I think the Champions League, if anything, is more stringent because of the 8 homegrown players. 4 of them need to be from your own academy rather than just generally homegrown. So I think, it's weird, but I know what you mean. It's kind of like it does feel like it's very restrictive, especially in a world where
pressure on the price as well, bro.
Especially when we're in a world where PSR is forcing clubs to sell their own academy
Exactly.
players. Like it feels very contradictory that one rule financially incentivizes you to sell your homegrown players, whilst another means that you have to have a certain amount of homegrown players in your squad. It's just the Premier League.
I just want to give a mad shout out as well to Galatasaray, because you look at last season, who were the 3 players that everyone was up in arms about? Ederson, Akanji, and Gundogan. Now, you got Galatasaray out here doing God's work, who's potentially going to be signing all 3. So,
but to be fair, they're not paying any fucking money. Have you seen the fees?
They're out here doing bits. They're doing God's work. Do you know what I mean? So, massive shout out to them.
We're just gonna add them to CFG, and then we're just gonna give them all the players.
How funny would that be?
I'm only joking for anybody any of the mutants in this. I'm joking. There's no more charges coming.
You don't want Turkish fans to get a hold of that. The idea that Galatasaray.
No more charges coming. But yeah, we're gonna just make them a part of CFG, and then give them all the players we don't like, and then the
you know how the Turkish fans are. They're going to get all greedy. We're going to go into Holland's Instagram comments. It's going to be filled with "Come to Galatasaray."
LB might have to do a 6-month loan to get some air back. Do you know what I
mean? Yeah, man. It's funny. Martin's
on the Galatasaray thing. Like, is anybody asked about the transfer fee? Because I am. Like, I think the idea that we might be selling Ederson, even with just 1 year left on his deal, even if he does clearly want to go. The idea that we might get like 10 mil for him seems a bit of a joke to me, to be honest. Like, I think we should be at least getting like 15, 20 for someone.
So can we just clarify, just to people in the chat that maybe haven't been, a lot of people are on Twitter these days, so a lot of people have not seen this. The rumoured bid, and apparently the links now are saying, there you go, the rumoured bid that come out this morning from Turkish media was that the initial bid was £2.6 million. Since then, this news has come out that, again, this is all Turkish, so we don't know how reliable this is, that Galatasaray have reached a deal with Manchester City for Ederson. You would think that we're going to sell Ederson for a little bit more than 2.6 million. But let me just give you my opinion on it, Joe. Yes, I think it's ridiculous if we sell him for less than 10 million. However, at the same time, I think we had Wolves pants down. I think we had AC Milan, not maybe had the pants down, but I think we got a good deal on that one. And we had Lyon's pants down for Turkey. So whilst, yes, I think the fee is ridiculous, I think we should be getting 20 million personally, maybe even more. I'm just going to be, I'm doing a balancing thing. That's what
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's one of them where the club maybe look at it at the end of the summer and go, we sold this much, we bought this much. As long as we're happy with how much the ultimate net spend is, then fine. But I don't know. I think we're just, we've made some really good sales in recent years. Like obviously selling Sterling, Jesus, Zinchenko, we got a decent amount of money for. Obviously the Alvarez deal was pretty good, and Sane. I think they're the 5 sort of like standouts where we got like upwards of 40 mil. I think Zinchenko might be 35, but we have a lot of situations where like we get players like this where we just kind of go, look, you want to go, so off you go. Like Laporte stands out as a particularly terrible one. Mahrez, again, another one where we got much less money than we should have really gone for. I think Ederson is now potentially going to be added to that list. Honestly, I reckon we'll probably do the same thing. I'm quite happy to see the back of the Kanji, to be honest. It means that Pep won't play him every week, but I think that we'll probably end up selling him for far less than we should do. Obviously, Akanji comes with the caveat that we spent like 15 mil on him, so it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, I'm just kind of, when we sell these players, particularly when we're selling them to clubs like Saudi or Galatasaray that are not retirement leagues, but you know what I mean, the leagues where people are just going for the fat wages more than because of the actual competitive nature of where it is they're going. We're doing cut price deals on these players, and I just don't really understand why.
just to add on to that, do you think that this could be telling on his attitude behind the scenes, though? Like
Maybe
because there's been talk over the last few years that his attitude, he's fallen out with the goalkeeping coach and this, that, and the other. Do you think
I've not heard any of that, mate.
Yeah, I heard he had a falling out with the goalkeeping coach and all sorts. When he was booting the bottles after Fulham.
Isn't that why he didn't start for a while and Ortega came in at some point? Yeah,
no, not me. You know what I think? I think them things are blown out of proportion, Bevel. I think at the end of the day, I always say this, but you've got probably a group of 40 men every day going into training, kicking a ball around. There's tackles going in, people turn up in bad moods and someone will say, do this, and he'll be like, fuck off. I just think anyone that's played sport, you played football, Bevel, and sport and shit. Bro, this sort of shit happens all the time. So I don't know. You might be right, but I'd probably say nah.
You know how you see with Cancelo, when we sold Cancelo, we sold him for pence as well compared to what he was actually valued.
Did we though? I vividly remember LB doing a stream called "Wow, cheeky moving mad, incredible Cancelo fee." I can't remember what round. I remember that.
Hey! What? Nah, what? How much was the fee? How much did we sell Cancelo for?
I think we sold him for about 12 million or something like that. It wasn't a lot.
Chat, was it 12 million? We sold
him for 21.2 million, according to
but the thing is that people need to remember about this is, right, if you have an asset that you're trying to sell, you're always going to get a mad lower price. So people bringing up Martin was on the chat before. Shout out Martin, he's in the chat, right? Martin was in the chat before saying, well, how come Brentford can sell Brian and Buemo for 60-odd mil? It's because Brian and Buemo, and Brentford don't want to sell him. He's an asset that they don't want to sell. So when someone approaches them and says, we want to buy, you say, well, you better pay up then, otherwise he ain't going anywhere. Whereas with Ederson, I think City probably, and people might not want to hear this, I think City probably are like, yeah, we're ready to move you on. Akanji, yeah, we're ready to move you on. Cancelo, fucking hell, yeah, we're ready to move you on. Laporte, we're ready to move. So I think when you've got these sort of players, I just feel that you can't sit there and demand. City can't sit there and go to Galatasaray and say, we're not selling Ederson unless you're getting 20 mil. Because then the Galatasaray will say, well, we ain't buying him then. And City are like, shit. Because I don't think City, I think City probably want to move him on. He had that year last year, not good at all. Yeah, worst year he's ever had at the club. And then he had that Club World Cup, and City probably just gone, nah, we need to move him on.
You've also got the other side of it, as he's not wanted to sign a new deal anyway. So at this point, if you get 5-10 million for him, it's 5-10 million more than you're going to get.
And you're saving his wages.
Because you're going to have his wages off the books. But on top of that, you're not going to get anything for him next year because he ain't signing a new deal. So I suppose maybe it is best to just shift him on.
Bro, our wage bill is going to go completely down.
But his wages aren't that much. That's the whole reason why he wants an extension or he wanted to leave, right? I think he's only on
130K something.
Yeah, I think he's only 100, something like that. So if we bring in Trafford, we're probably not going to put him on too much less than that. So there may be some savings, but I don't think there would be a whole lot, not from a salary perspective. But I mean, I could be wrong, but
our wage bill. I've done this loads of times on the stream, but if you actually go through all the players that have left or leaving this year, compared to the ones that we're bringing in,
you got Kev, haven't you? Of course, KDB on his wages. You got
Kyle Walker. We don't know how much. Obviously, we're going to have to pay a Grealish is, but then even when Bernardo goes next year, that's another 300K. So you've got so many wages that are just. Yeah, Stones might go this year, might go next year. That's 200, 250K. The wage bill's gone down. And the only real big hitters you brought in was Marmoush, who's on probably 250K a week. And then Reinders, who's probably on big money. But people moaned at them too. But, bro, fucking Marmoush was fucking bagging goals in left, right, and centre. He deserved that cash. You know what I mean? And Reinders was Serie A Player of the Year, 26. So he's probably on a big wage. Everyone else, Huzanov, these guys, these are chilling. And it frees us up again, PSR. You know what I mean? If we need to go into the market next summer, let's say we do get to next summer and we're like, well, we need a big dog winger. Then we look at the market and say, right, who's the best winger on the market? We've got the wage bill available.
And it also allows us in the current team to give better extensions for players like Rodri. So, you look at Rodri, his next wage, it ain't going to be anything less than 350. So, it allows us to push the likes of Foden and all these other. And don't forget, we've got Erling Haaland, who we've just signed on a 10-year contract for over 500 grand a week. So, you look at that. We're going to have to free up the wage bill somewhere. So.
Yeah, facts. Let me go through some of these super chats. Guys, smash these likes up if you've not done so already, man. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. Let's have a look at some of these chats. Let's have a look. Big Up Glorious says, most of our fan base are sheep. They follow the narrative on Twitter, which is really annoying.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, though.
It's a bloody comment, bro. Big Up Glorious, man.
That's where everybody gets their news from. What do you expect?
Yeah, exactly. Big Up Roble with a 2. It says Trafford and Ter Stegen competing for number 1 would be good. It ain't going to happen. Trafford is not going to come to City to sit on bench, bro. It's just not going to happen. And he's not going to come to City to compete for number 1. He's coming to City if he's been told, you're number 1. That's my opinion.
And Ter Stegen is happy to sit on that Barca bench and get 300 and 400 grand a week for doing nothing. He is loving life over there.
We will speak about the backup goalkeeper because we need to speak about that as well. Shout out Roble for the super chat. Big Up Echo Fall says, I'm pulled in by the romance of EDS lad coming back. Yeah, you're a football romantic, innit? Like me, I'm a football romantic.
The only issue is last time we did a buyback, one of our academy players he left.
Is it Angelino?
Yep. I was buzzing for that signing. He was so good.
So was I.
And I was like, boom, what a signing! Backup left back, and then out.
Then he got thrown in. Was it Liverpool at home? One of his first games, and it's just like
he played at Anfield. He played at Anfield that year when we lost.
Anfield, yeah,
and then he played the derby at home as well. I remember. And then January.
Did he play at NYCFC?
Yes, he did.
That goes back to the early days of my fandom or whatever.
Jack Harrison and that.
Jack Harrison. Yeah.
That's when I was watching it. Yeah.
I wanted to root for NYCFC just because of the connection to the club, but still don't really have a strong feeling for him. Anyway.
Yeah. Big up.
Oh, TJ Scott. Yeah. Shea Facey as well. That's another.
Yeah. Shea Facey. Yeah. I remember him. Big Up Benno says Ortega gone 2-8 playing second to a kid. I'm going to come on to that in a sec, Benno. I'm just going to finish these chats and we'll come on to that. Big Up Chris Kirk for the 10 months. Shout out to Haneen as well. Says one Viana forward thinking plans, in my opinion, is to buy Rice early and keep him around in 3 years. He'll count as homegrown too, says Haneen. Is that true?
I think he's done himself no sort of damage at all with this World Cup and the appearances that he's had in there. Because I think was it Juventus he played or the other game? Which one of there's one of the games that he started, and I can't remember if it was
he played against Wydad, I think.
Yeah, I think either way, he looked very obviously, quality of the opposition aside, he looked really impressive, like on the ball with everything that he did. And I'm sure I remember afterwards, like not long after it came out, that Pep was quite happy with him and was keen to sort of keep him around the squad. And there weren't any plans to sort of like loan him out or anything like that. Which I think before that tournament, you'd have probably put a lot of money on Hayes being loaned out. So I think that he's I think the Club World Cup has done a lot to sort of convince Pep and maybe the rest of the coaching staff that he's worth keeping around, which is maybe why there's rumours coming out now that Akanji's on his way out, because I think there's only, as far as I'm concerned, obviously Diaz, Gvardiol and Kusanov are like locked in, aren't they? Those three are just like there, definitely.
They're the three,
and then it comes, and you can't really have 5 centre-backs when we already have Stones and Ake like perennially on the edge of the squad anyway. So I think at that point you've got to get rid of. You've got to pick. Then is it going to be Akanji or is it going to be Hayes? And I think Akanji we've probably got. We're probably at the end of what.
But you've still got Ake. You still got Ake and obviously Stones there, haven't you? So you've got a lot of players. But I think my vibe with Stones is, I think Stones has been told you need to leave. Like we're trying to build for the future. And remember, Stones has been fit for about 8 weeks and he didn't play a single minute in that tournament. Pep then come out in that press conference and said if certain players want to stay, they can stay, but they're going to be very unhappy. And then Stones is like, I ain't leaving. I don't think City have a problem with Stones staying because professionally training, all that kind of shit, and obviously on the pitch is fucking mega. But I think at the same time, so I don't think if Stones says, listen, boys, I ain't going anywhere, I think City will say, fine, that's cool, but Pep doesn't have
expect Carabao Cup minutes and that's it.
Expect less minutes than you played last year. You hardly played last year. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. He obviously is just holding out for the new contract when he goes to a new club. Sorry, wait. Yeah.
I was just going to say, while we're on the topic of transfers, I just want to open this to the panel in the chat. pound for pound, who do you think is the best transfer that City's made? Doesn't have to be the Pep era. It can be whatever era.
Probably Company.
Yeah, I'd say Company.
Yeah, probably Company. Yeah,
7 million.
I'm gonna top that. £400,000 initially for Joe Hart.
I'd still say Company.
So.
I'd still say Company. That is mega, but I'd still say Company. You know.
Yeah.
All right.
I'd probably give it Company. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because just think he's. I think he was so much more important. You could have easily. I think that. I say easily. That 2012 to however long era, you could have swapped out that keeper. You could have swapped out Joe Hart for another keeper, and it conceivably could have happened anyway.
Well, we had Shea Given, didn't we?
I don't think there's anyone who you could have swapped out Company for that would have meant that we'd win.
A few games when Pantilimon came in very briefly.
Yeah.
Well,
if you just look,
I was going to use Pantilimon in the conversation about Trafford, but I didn't want to go there. But
if you look at like what he's done like in his career, 2 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups, 1 Carabao Cup, 4 Golden Gloves. He's like most golden gloves like in history, on par with Czech. Like most England caps as a goalkeeper. Like for £400,000, like
he'd be up there for me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I think
he's top 3 or 4. I think.
Yeah. I'd still have Company just above.
I rate it.
Let me just finish off these chats, boys. Shout out Craig, 6 months, says, does Trafford change our play style at all? I'm expecting us to be a bit more direct this year. He might force it. His mid to long passing is good. I don't know. Let me throw that to Danny. You've probably watched him on that side, buddy.
Well, if you're bringing up his mid to long passing, isn't that exactly the same with Ederson? I don't really see how it would change. I think the only difference is that Trafford's probably a far better shot stopper. So probably not.
I've not seen him that much, but what I have seen, I wouldn't say it all.
If we do change our play style, it won't be down to the goalkeeper. I'll put it.
I mean, he's probably gone. He's gone long much more frequently than Ederson has because of the way that we play. Ederson, his normal free kick is probably maybe 10 yards at at 10 meters or whatever at most, because everything we do is playing short. For Trafford, that's not going to be the case at Burnley. He's going to go long quite a bit. So he hits them long. I don't know if he hits them long better than Ederson when Ederson is playing them long.
No, definitely not.
We've seen a lot from this last year though, that we have gone a bit longer to Haaland and to sort of,
I think
I think that might be a part of the thinking maybe.
Yeah, I think we're going to play slightly different and more direct, period, regardless of who the keeper is. And I do think if we're going to do that, having Ederson, we've seen him. He's got the most assists as a keeper, right? We've seen him being able to make that long pass, connect with a streaking forward going down the pitch. We'll have to see if anyone else can unlock that the way that he has been able to, but we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying there. Shout out Chris Kirk, says 20 games of Stones is better than 40 of all the others. Big up. It probably is, but last year he didn't even play 20. So
you don't get 20 games out of Stones anymore. It's that's the fact. It's max like 8 or 9, if that, maybe even 5.
The stat for me that does it on Stones is that he played less than Jack Grealish last year, and I think that says it all. Big up Blue Moon says, if this is true, I'm more than buzzing. Remember those words, he'll be the best in the Premier League in 2 years. Come on, you Blue, says Blue Moon M14. I can't believe how many people are like proper. I thought I was going to do this stream, and I thought the chat was just going to be like, "Thanks for fucking shit."
Is it though? Is it down to what you said before that like the goalkeeper market is just kind of fucked at the moment? Like, who else is there? Like, really?
Yeah, but
David Raya's the current like Golden Glove guy. Like, I mean,
yeah, no, I hear it. But the point,
where's it at now?
No, I get what you're saying, but the point that I was trying to make, I don't know if you can see the poll in the chat. I don't know if you can see it on there.
No, I can't see it from
right. So I did a poll in the chat, right? And the 4 options was: I'm buzzing with the signing, I'm okay with it, I'd rather we didn't sign him, and like the club's finished. What the fuck are we doing? And 37% of the chat are saying they're buzzing. And I just didn't expect it to be that high. I thought it'd be like 20%, 15%.
Yeah, no.
I think the only problem is that otherwise you're looking at. I've seen some names in the chat now. You're the only other real available people are Emi Martinez, which I don't think moves the needle for anyone at all. No. You've got Donnarumma, who it'd be nice, but I don't see it.
Pep's never taken him, is he?
Pep's never taken Donnarumma. I think his passing out from the back is next to non-existent.
Yeah.
And I think that and yeah, when you sort of factor that in, your two options then are Costa, based on what we've been told, Costa and Trafford, and I think the homegrown academy guy is probably always going to get more good grace than the Portuguese league guy, who I don't think anyone has ever seen have a good game of football. So, yeah, it's
Danny, let me ask you a question. Danny, was you surprised that yeah, well, oh my God, City, mate. You take the piss, big up Bevel. I City, buddy, you fuckers, you know. Look at this. Right, we have remember, chap, yeah? Remember, we have a buyback clause. Man City wants to negotiate with Burnley on the 40.
Can I play devil's advocate on this? Because I'm sure
Dion is there with 20 grand and a Mars bar. You're taking it, pal.
I'm sure.
Let me play the clip
I'm
real quick.
Go on.
Morning. How much is this?
149, sir.
I've got 50p. Fuck you, bastard.
I could be. I think, is this not because Newcastle had an agreement for less than 40 mil with them, like originally? So why would we go in and just go right? So why would we go in and just go right? Here's 40 mil.
I don't think they ever had an agreement, did they?
No, but I think the sort of the negotiations at the time were around like the 30 million mark. So City are probably thinking, oh well, if you were happy to negotiate that with Newcastle, then maybe who knows? Like it could turn out that Burnley just say, look, we asked Newcastle for 40, so you're gonna have to pay that, and then cool. But to be fair, we would be kind of dumb to go straight in at 40 if Newcastle were looking at like 25, 30 mil. When
I thought they were looking at 25, 30 mil, and that's the reported reason why Newcastle.
Well, yeah. If Burnley come back and say it's buyback or bust, then we're just going to have to activate the buyback, aren't we?
Look, how long's he got left, George? You know.
Well, he signed 2 years ago, didn't he? So let's assume that he signed a 5-year deal. I'd guess he's got 3
years
left
that
on it.
Seems quite cheap for me, 25 to 30 mil. I don't think you're getting for that, mate. At the end of the day, yeah, if this is like, you've got to imagine City are signing this guy, right? Because they think he's going to be mega, he is mega, and he's going to be England's number one. And he's got 3 years left of his contract, and you're trying to buy him for 30 mil. I think 40 mil is like, in this day and age, I think that's a fair price.
Just watch Viana do bits. Just watch it. He'll
facts. He will do bits, Viana. This guy's been cooking on gas.
I would not be surprised if we settle on 28 mil.
He has 2 years left on his deal. He only signed a 4-year deal with Burnley. So maybe that's why they're thinking 40 mil, 2 years left on his deal for a goalkeeper. Like, maybe that's the logic. Because I think if you look at it, 40 mil, mind you, we put the buyback in, so obviously we thought that was a fine number to put in there. But 40 mil for a goalkeeper is still like a good chunk of money. Like not many keepers have gone for more than that. Like how much did Arsenal buy Raya for, and how much did they buy
I think
like Ramsdale for and stuff?
20s or something. It was pretty low.
Yeah, this is what I mean. So I think like 40 mil for a goalkeeper like is still not really normal nowadays. But, I mean, yeah, ultimately, if Burnley turn around and say, no, it's buyback or nothing, then we have what is effectively a release clause there ready to pay, don't we? So it's like, yeah. Also, maybe the buyback, I don't know how it works. A buyback's going to be like the same as release clauses, where we'd have to pay the full 40 mil in one chunk rather than over time. I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
So that might be the negotiation piece.
A good point. If we've got a £40 million buyback, but he was going to go to Newcastle for maybe, let's say they was going to go for 35, but then they had to sell on clause. So actually, they was only going to get 26 or 27. City might be like, hang on a minute, you was only going to get 27 million.
Also true. Didn't even think about sell on clause. Yeah.
I was like, well, what happens if you buy back a player that you had a sell on clause for?
Just take that money off the top.
On Football Manager, you get that money back, but I don't think that's real. I think like so if you have a 10% sell-on clause and you buy the player back, you then get let's say you spent 40 mil, you then get a notification saying that you've just received 4 million from your own transfer to yourself. But I'm 99% sure that's not real. That's not how it actually works in real life.
That seems like the 116th charge, but
I think if another club is trying to buy the player at the same time, you can accept the release clause or the buyback clause. If the club or the other club, so like in this case Newcastle, was negotiating a fee for lower, I think you would be able to say, right, well, hang on a minute, you was going to get less money under this deal with Newcastle, we can offer you maybe slightly more money than them, yeah, but you're going to get
Which means
all of it.
But you pocket all of that rather
you
than
get all the money
yeah.
rather than you could sell him for 32 for them if you want, but we're going to get some of that. So actually, you wouldn't even pay more. You'd pay slightly less, wouldn't you?
We could pay like 30, and they'd get all that, and then we'd also be able to pay that over the X number of years in installments rather than one off in one big lump, and then So yeah, no, I mean, no wonder we're negotiating really, but I think ultimately if Burnley turn around and say now, especially now 2 clubs are interested and they know that we have an active buyback of 40 mil, this makes their conversation with Newcastle really easy, doesn't it? It's like 40 mil or nothing. Like
exactly.
Well, in fact, no, Newcastle would have to pay 45 or 46
because
to account for the sell-on clause. Yeah.
So Newcastle basically are out of this race now.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Unless City
if we're serious,
If we're serious, they're out because otherwise they're. And we got first dibs because we got the buyback. Anyway, let me just finish off these super chats, and then we need to speak about the fact that we might be getting rid of Ortega and Ederson, and how big. We don't even know who the other goalkeeper is. This is crazy. The news that's dropping today. Shout out Neil. To be fair, we have waited fucking 2 weeks for some news. Big up to Neil. Says instead of spending an extra 10 million on homegrown right back, this is better. Says Neil with a 5. Big up to you, bro. Shout out to LB. Says big up Cavan Sullivan for killing it at the moment. Yeah, man. Most of us seen that goal.
Good week for him. 2 goals for the second team, and then had a great cameo for the first team a couple of days ago. So yeah, getting better, man. Give him time.
It's crazy, bro. It's wild. Shout out to David Forbes. Appreciate the membership. Big up to you, mate. Appreciate it, David. Thank you very much. And shout out to Jordan as well, who become a member earlier in the stream. Big up to Jordan. Big up to David. Both brand new members. So I don't know if you guys seen this. Sorry, I've not spoken to any of you guys all day. So obviously Ederson's being linked with a move to Galatasaray, and all the sort of news that's coming out of Turkey saying that's going to happen. However, I think Benno super chatted it before. Ortega, number 1, is he even going to accept being a number 2? Because there's no way that guy's going to be a number 1 next year. So is he going to accept being a number 2? And also Sky Sports News are reporting that Burnley are interested in Ortega as a replacement for James Trafford, which would mean that City could potentially be replacing all 3 goalkeepers in one summer. I did put that tweet out before. Some guy responded to me and said City actually did it, funny enough, in 2003, which I don't actually remember, but he said City did it in 2003. I'll get the tweet up in a minute and show you guys. But Bevel, let me start with you, man. Do you think Ortega is going to go as well? And if so, bro, that's just mad, isn't it?
I can see it happening. I've said many times. I think he's good enough to be a number 1, just not at City. He could go to someone like a Burnley or a Palace or wherever and quite easily claim the number 1 spot. He's good enough too. Over the last few years, he's we got him from Armenia Belfield or wherever it was for free. He then comes into the team. He even ends up getting a call up to the German national team. So, he's definitely got it in him. I think he's been semi-decent for us. Decent number 2 anyway. I think if he does go to Burnley, it'll be great for him for 2 reasons. It'll be great for the club because we'll be able to use Ortega as a bit of a mate weight in the Trafford deal, and he still gets to play Premier League football. I think if we do get rid of Ortega, I think we're going to have to find another semi-decent alternative, whether that be someone like an Emi Martinez that's going for free. That is a potential possibility that could happen. I can't see it being him, but someone of that caliber that's like a free transfer or a £5 million transfer or whatever, something along those lines. But yeah, I mean, if he does decide to leave, then I think he's good enough to claim a number 1 spot at most clubs. I think he quite easily claimed the number 1 spot at United at the moment. Yeah, I think he's good enough too.
Yeah, we're gonna have to definitely get a backup. We're gonna have to get a backup, man, because this Bettinelli's here for 3rd choice goalkeeper, isn't it? You know what I mean? Has anyone got any names that you could? Because this is a difficult thing, man. Like, if you go and get someone, you've got to get someone that's good enough, mate. Because if Trafford, this is a big gamble on Trafford. Yeah, if Trafford's shit, right? And he comes in like fucking headlights, like mad, and we're like getting cooked. Like, you need someone maybe to come in, take the pressure off him. It's got to be good enough, but obviously it's got to be someone that ain't going to be saying to Pep, like, I'm starting the game. Like, it's not going to happen because Trafford's the number one.
Do you not
So,
think
like,
we could potentially promote an academy player?
Nah.
There's been talk of
Spike.
that EDS player who's
Not as number 2, Bebo. Not as
no,
number
no,
two.
as a number 3. You'd have
Nah.
Bettinelli as the number
Bettinelli
two.
has Bettinelli played a game in like.
I have no idea. I couldn't tell you.
Martin said today Bettinelli's not played a match in 3 years.
It's not, I think the last time he played was Chesterfield at home when they beat him 5-1 in the FA Cup 2022. So yeah.
Why do you know that?
Why do I know that? Because I watched that game.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Bro, that's actually fucking insane. You know that? You're insane, bro.
I don't think Ederson. I don't think we'll let Ortega go. To be honest, I think we'd be mad to let them. I agree both with you. Leave. Because I think that as well, you can also sell to Ortega the idea of, look, this guy is young. This guy is like not coming in like knowing the whole system straight away. Like, there are minutes for you to get in this first half of the season whilst a bit of transition. And then, obviously, at the end of the season, he can go wherever he wants, and he gets the bonus of going on a free and getting like the sign-on fee and all that stuff like that. Like, there are good reasons for Ortega to stay and just go on a free at the end of the season. And I do think that, like I said before, in that first sort of, particularly in that first few months of the season, it's going to be a bit of a fight between the two of them for minutes. I think it should be a case of Fabrizio's on it. It should be a case of like if we replace all 3 keepers in one window, I don't have a fucking clue who we get as a backup keeper. I've got no idea. I think that we need to have at least one person in that. One of the two, because really the third doesn't matter. So one of the two needs to be someone who already knows what it's like to be here and play with us and play with our style and everything like that. And I personally think that Ortega has kind of shown in the last 12 months that he's maybe not as good as we thought he was, and that he's very much a backup keeper and not a lot else in my opinion. Maybe he's good enough for Burnley, who are just coming up right now, but I don't think he's good enough to be like our regular starting goalkeeper by any means. But I think there's still room there for him to get some games early in this season while Trafford beds in. Maybe if Trafford has a bit of like a dip in form at the start when he's joining, and maybe there's things that Pep sees that he doesn't like that Trafford doesn't quite get a grip with yet, then Ortega can come in and just sort of be like a semi-reliable guy who we know that we know we're going to get a certain level of performance out of him. I just think there should be no world where we're letting Ederson go and then turning around to Ortega and saying like, all right, okay, you can leave as well. Like, we should be a case of Ortega should be one of the ones where it's like, sorry, but you've got a contract and you're staying for this next 12 months. Like, but we're sorry, but we cannot let you and Ederson leave in the same window. And if anything, from Ortega's point of view, having Trafford there to compete with should be for him a bit more comforting that he might get some more game time than he would if Ederson was number 1, to be honest. So I think if Ederson was number 1, he'd have basically no chance, whereas a new young signing coming in as number 1 or what will be number 1 but maybe not initially number 1, Ortega should be looking at that and thinking, right, I can actually get some game time here and I can get more minutes here than I maybe would have done otherwise.
The problem that you've got though, Joe, is Burnley are legitimately offering him the chance to be the number 1. Like, he if you actually look at his career, right, obviously he's at that club Bielfield that Bevo mentioned and that, but like, has he ever had a stint at a club where like he's played at like a solid club, like other than that 1 year at Bielfield where he's been in like a top league? Like, he has an opportunity now to move to Burnley. He could probably get a 4 or 5 year contract and
get relegated.
But I was going to say, they're not going to
relegated. But well, yeah, you don't know that though, do you? You know, like, we don't know that for sure. They probably are going to get relegated. But the point is, he's got the opportunity to play 38 Premier League games, for Burnley on a foot. And like, I don't know, man. I just feel that like he's going to sit there and City will be like, yeah, we're buying 22-year-old James Trafford, and he's going to go in straight in front of you. And I think if he's got the opportunity to go to Burnley, I think he's going to push that. I remember as well, just quickly, Joe, as well.
Yeah, go on.
He signed a contract extension. He signed a contract extension when he could have gone easy. I think it was last year or the year before.
It was last year, I think.
Last year. So I think if he signed a contract extension, when he was going to go, and City, obviously, I think City basically said, please, don't go, stay. Because if you remember, before he signed that contract, everything in the press was Ortega's going.
Yeah.
I think City convinced, and I just think that I don't think City, if he decides that he wants to go Burnley, I don't think City would like sort of repay that by saying, "Nah, you're not going. You've got to stay."
Yeah,
and we know that's not how City do the business, isn't it? City say if you want to go.
I think that's kind of where Pep has to step in and have a conversation with Ortega and make it clear to him that there is room for minutes for him to get, if he does hang around. And but it'll be even more so now.
2 weeks ago, he had a chat with both of them and came out in the press and said, "Oh yeah, they're both staying." Now it looks like they're both leaving.
Exactly. Yeah. This is mad, and I think that with Trafford coming in, the like I just said, the sort of the opportunity for minutes there for Ortega is greater than it would have been if it was. And I think I kind of understand the thought that if he goes to Burnley, he's playing 38 games in the Premier League, like he's actually getting more game time, which maybe is what he wants. But on the other hand, if he plays sort of like 15, 20 games for City over the course of a season, over all competitions, but walks away with a medal at the end of that season compared to a relegation with Burnley, then do you? Because let's be honest, the record for the last 3-4 seasons tells you that if you're from a newly promoted club, your odds of going down are significantly higher than they are of staying up. And Ortega will back his own abilities, but I think we all can kind of accept that Burnley are probably going to go back down again this season. Do you want to do that, or do you want to be part of the club that you've been at for the last 3-4 years, where you've had a lot of success and can have even more success if you stay?
If I was it, I'd go Burnley.
Ed put it in the chat, but at the end of the day, he'll probably have some type of a relegation clause. But to your point, maybe he's been in the second division before in Germany, so maybe he's not doesn't have a problem playing second division as long as his family is settled and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I'm not to say that he won't do it, but for me, I think if I'm him, I know I'm gonna play. To this point, at least, Pep has proven that he'll play him in all the cups, with the exception of Champions League. So I know I'm going to play that. I'm going to play the occasional minutes here and there. I'm going to, like you said, I'm going to be able to help Trafford bet in. I'll get those minutes early on, and maybe I make a case for myself. I could see not taking your chances, but really trying to see if you can take this chance at City. When there's no one that's established as a number one ahead of you. Now, and Trafford, we're expecting to do that, but we don't know he will.
Yeah, and doing that, that sort of that those cup games, that sort of bedding in, helping Trafford bed in, maybe playing like between 5 and 10 Premier League games over the course of a season for a team like City, when you've got when you can go for a free at the end of the season. Does that open up your horizons to where you can then go after that more than a transfer to Burnley with a relegation clause does? Like, I personally think maybe.
How old is he again?
He'll be, I think he'll be 32, 33.
So maybe you just want to play. Maybe you just want to, you see the ending coming and you just want to play.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think there's a real opportunity as well. You look at the German national team, right? You've got Neuer, who's basically close to, if not at the point of retirement. There's a World Cup coming up. Maybe he's looking at it as, well, there's Ter Stegen, and apart from that, there's not really a decent number 2 out there.
Yeah, no.
He's 32, sorry.
He could be looking at that and going, if I go and embed myself into, a Premier League standard club or even a Championship standard club, even if they do get relegated, he could have an opportunity there to go, right, okay, well, I might actually make the next World Cup.
I agree, and also he's got a chance here to secure his financial future even more with a he could say to Burnley, right, well, give me a 4 or 5 year contract. If we get relegated, I either don't want you to drop my wages or I want a bare cheap release clause to get me out. Whereas at City, he's got 1 year left. And I know what you're saying, Joe, but like, there's no guarantees in football, innit? And like, you could say, oh, we can stay here and he can go in a year, but like, there's no guarantees in a year that he'll get that big move, and he could end up being. I've seen this clip on Twitter. Let me play this clip, man. This is James Trafford.
For long-term ambition, I believe I can be Man City's number 1 and play for England, be their number 1. But I know that I have to play as many league games as I can, because no one just steps right into Man City number 1 without playing any league games anywhere else. So I've got to learn my craft and it's a different craft here to play in the Premier League, but it's something I need to do to develop as a person and as a goalkeeper, and I'm really looking forward to it. The long-term ambition, I believe.
That was
I'm
back
sorry,
in,
but I'm
2021.
sorry, but he looks so much like Karl the Dragon the way that he talks. I can't get over that.
This is what I was saying before, though. Like, go and back yourself. Like, he's proper young there, and he's saying, "I think I can be City's number one and England number one." Like, I like that.
Well, that was back in 2021, bro. He's only, what is he now, 22?
Yeah.
So that he would have been what, like 19 when he said that. And I'm with you. I like that. Now, some people won't like it. Some people think it's arrogant and like cocky and shit. So people won't like it, Bevel. But some people won't. But I'm with you. I like a player to have a little bit of that fucking. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be that fucking guy. And if they don't do it, it gives a shit. At least they fucking shot for the moon.
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? They went for it, man. So I
don't understand what kind of fan would not like that. Like, are there other people who genuinely don't like hearing players say that?
Some people just don't like hearing that sort of. I don't know. Some people just don't like it. But I like it. I don't like it when people like sign for City and they do that interview with the City club and then they're like, "Oh, I'm just happy to be here and I'm looking around." I'm like, don't want that. Yeah, I want players like Turkey to be saying, "I can't fucking wait to get on that pitch. I'm buzzing for it. I'm gonna cook." Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Not like mint and like
Do you remember the Euros that they won? Was it under 19 Euros when Cole Palmer was in?
Yeah.
Well, in that, I remember Cole Palmer actually came out and said that Trafford actually said to Palmer, "I'm going to win this penalty shootout."
Oh yeah.
And he did. Like I just love that. I love the arrogance. And you look at him there. He's what, 19. He's having a televised interview with presumably Sky Sports, and he's speaking really, really well. Like, you can tell it's partly media trained, but it's also partly from the heart. Like, you see too many people now, like, come in interviews, and it's like, "Oh yeah, well, we could have done better. You know, move on to next week, another 3 points." You know, just like the same old bullshit. Like, I like the fact that he's saying, "Listen, this ain't City, but I'm coming here to learn my craft, and I'm going to do bits, and then I'm going to hopefully in the future be City's number one." I think like that.
Yeah, I think the only people who wouldn't like it is if you're a fan of Accrington Stanley, because now you're feeling like, you think you're bigger than our club. And the reality is, listen, I'm not going to be here for long. I intend to get back to City. I intend to make it back to the top level. I don't know if it'll be this year, next year, but my goal is to be back with City, to be England's number one. That is my goal. That's my dream. And so, yes, Accrington Stanley is just a pit stop along the path to get there. But of course, you don't want to hear somebody say that about your club. So if you're an Accrington Stanley fan out there, I can understand why you would hate that.
He was only on loan, though.
Yeah, anybody else, it's like, nah, he's fair.
Let me just assume more of these super chats, and I want to touch on the right back before we wrap up. Shout out to Josh, says, "Trafford do that Poznan. Trafford do that Poznan. Nah. Come on, bro. Big up, lad. Big up Josh, man, with a mum." Shout Ash says, Michael Zetero, goalkeeper.
I remember that.
From Bremen. I don't remember.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's I think it's when Ortega looked like he was on the way out. He was kind of like the guy who was touted as the guy we might look at to replace him.
I just need you to be decent. You're my backup goalkeeper. I don't need you to be outstanding. I just need you to be decent. That's it. If Trafford gets injured or whatever, come in, do me a job. Don't shit the bed. That's it. Yeah, just don't be shit. Yeah, that's it. Don't be shit. I'll be interested to see be decent on the ball, because as we see when Stefan come in, we was just cooked.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll be interested to see if we hear anything in the next day or two about how Ortega feels about the idea of leaving. Because I think that'll be what sort of determines what we end up. Because I think, kind of like you said, I think you're probably right before when you said, because he signed that 2-year extension when he could have easily left. The fact that now we're bringing in another number one now that Ederson's left might make him go, "Well, I want to go." The club may well not stand in his way at that point, like you say.
The thing is, what's quite interesting about that though, Joe, he was asked this recently. And it's funny, because Ederson was asked and basically said it's all fake news. Well, he didn't say it's all. He said it was 99% fake news. And now it looks like he's going. And then Ortega was asked, but he said it's too soon to speak about it.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. Now you
Which,
say
again,
it. Yeah,
that suggests to me that, like, yeah, you
he's probably
are
watching what happens.
Yeah, he's watching, seeing what's going on and that. And I just feel like, listen, sometimes in life, yeah, we sit there and we go, what the fuck? And like, this guy is he's watching the City by a 22-year-old who's going to be made number one. And I won't say it's not humiliating because obviously it's a sport, right? And that shit happens. But I just don't think he's going to be down for it. Maybe if he signed like Costa at 60 million, 26-year-old who's been playing for Portugal, and maybe he'd be down for it. I just think like when you get a 22, I just think he's going to be like, nah. And if Burnley are coming in with an offer and saying, come play for Burnley starting week in, week out in the Premier League, you don't have to move house. Like, he literally just fucking carries on. He probably get a little wage increase.
Yeah, he doesn't have to uproot at all, does he? He
doesn't have to move, bro. He just goes down the motorway and he's there in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's say for the sake of this conversation that he does move to Burnley, and then we have another opening at that point. So I saw Aaron Ramsdale in the chat. I think Bevo mentioned Emi Martinez. Emi Martinez, obviously, he's been a starter. He's got all the stuff, the hoopla that goes around him. But Aaron Ramsdale is homegrown. Would you bring in an Aaron Ramsdale as a backup?
Not a chance.
No.
So
Aaron Ramsdale will get
point,
relegated if we sign Aaron Ramsdale.
So I guess to your point, LB, it does matter who we bring in.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I didn't say it didn't matter. What I said I just need you to be decent. I don't think Aaron Ramsdale is decent.
Right.
I think he's falling off.
I do agree.
So would you bring in? Oh, go ahead, Danny.
I agree with the sentiment that if you can find an English goalkeeper, that would be excellent.
Well, and that was going to be my point. At the end of the day, the thing that he would have is he's English. But again, if he's not any good, it doesn't matter if he's English, right? We want someone that's going to be good enough in the event that he does need to step in.
The only reason I said Martinez is because he's free. He's Premier League proven. And if Trafford has a howler, you know you can put him in net and he's going to make some saves.
I agree with all of what you just said. My only counterpoint, and the reason I would say no, is because I don't know that he would be okay with sitting behind Trafford. And I think we need Trafford to be the undisputed number one. Or at least working his way to that.
And he's a bit of a dick as well, which doesn't really.
There's a lot of players that are that. But as long as they're on your team, it doesn't matter. It's when they're on the other team that becomes a problem. Yeah. Whatever. I don't like him, but if he was on our team, whatever.
My other thing with the goalkeeper is that it's frustrated me for so long that both our first and second choice have been non-homegrown players. Like, as far as I'm concerned, if you've got a non-homegrown. If you've got like Ederson, who's a Brazilian first choice, why have we got a German second choice when the guy's going to play like 10 games a season?
Because they've got to be good enough, though.
I know this is kind of the thing that's like and Pep's thing has always been, well, we've got to have, obviously before that we had Joe Hart, so it was always a case of the first guy was homegrown, so we didn't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
And then obviously since Pep's coming, it's like, well, we need a keeper who can do a certain baseline level of things that not many keepers can actually do. So I don't care whether he's homegrown or not. We just need him to be able to do that stuff. Whereas now, if we bring in Trafford, we've kind of one-upped ourselves on the homegrown side of things, because our first choice, once again, as it was with Joe Hart, is homegrown. So we've kind of solved a bit of an issue in that sense. So we don't need to worry about the backup being, like you just suggested there, Tarek, we don't need to worry about the backup being English and sort of helping to boost the homegrown numbers, because the first choice keeper is already doing that, which is a nice sort of bonus to not have to worry about in that sense. So I think because you've got a Trafford as the first choice, we can then just worry about, well, who's good enough? Like who is I don't care where they're from, just are they able to do that sort of baseline level of stuff? And maybe it is that Zetterer guy again, that maybe it is like the Werder Bremen guy who got linked with last summer. Maybe it's someone else who we don't even know yet, but I'd be shocked if it'd be Martinez, because he'd probably come with a bit of, he's only 32. He could consider, if we're talking about Ortega being good enough to be a number one somewhere like Burnley, then Martinez absolutely also is. I think we'd have to be paying him a lot of money, and also he wouldn't be happy to sit on the bench realistically. So it'll be interesting to see what we do if we do decide to get rid of him.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, that's true.
Mad wages at Villa though. Like I don't think we'd have to pay him like that big of wages.
Maybe
Burnley could go for him. Maybe I think he, Burnley could go for him. Maybe I think he was probably on fairly decent money after, like, particularly after the World Cup, where did he sign a new deal after the World Cup? I don't know. Because I think at that point he was like probably seen as one of the better keepers available, and obviously because of that, and the free transfer factor where you get a decent sign-on fee no matter what, he's probably going to be looking at commanding quite a decent.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he not in the market now for just fucking cleaning up? He's won the World Cup. He's done his
go
career.
to Saudi
now.
or something. Go to get your money wherever.
The problem is with Saudi, and I said it before. Someone in the chat, said to me a couple of weeks ago that the main teams in Saudi that did need.
Oh, you've said this before, haven't you? Yeah, about Ederson.
Goalkeepers now. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's fact check, but that's what someone told me in the chat from the Middle East and said, "LB, there's no market." And that's why probably Saudi's not coming for Ederson.
I was going to say, explain why Ederson's looking at Turkey in it rather than
Saudi. They've already been sorted. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one, but I always say, going back to Tarek's point earlier on, I've always said buying backup players, I think, is harder than buying starters.
Yes, it's difficult.
If buying starters, you're just buying the best players you can buy or whatever. And of course, there are little things you can do. You go for a little younger player, but like buying backup players is difficult because you've got to buy someone that's good enough to step in if shit goes south and you need them to play, but not so good that they're going to be kicking off, moaning, saying, "Why the fuck am I not starting?" This is one of the problems you got with Haaland. This is why we'll never buy a backup striker. Yeah, you might buy a Marmouche style who can play another position. You're never going to get a backup striker, and you're never probably going to get a backup DM because they're just not going to play. They're never going to play.
By the way, there is literally no point anyone in the chat asking, "Oh, who would you sign? Who would you sign?" It's going to be someone we never heard of.
We're not going to know who this guy is.
I've never heard of, and I've heard of everyone. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
No facts. All right, let me do the super chats and then we'll come on to the right back spot. Any of you lads need to leave, then obviously just feel free. Obviously, we've been on for fucking 1.5 hours. I know it's late in the UK. Shout out to Jay, says big MSG. Big message. I thought he was on about the fucking Chinese ingredient then. You know,
I was thinking that then.
Bro, I was talking about salt and pepper chicken, and I was like, oh, come on. Big message for academy players now. Path to the first 11. Yeah, you know what? And before we do move on to the right back thing, I just want to ask the panel quickly. Do you think that something that I get told in the chat all the time is any player that gets loaned out or any player that's sold is done, their career's finished at City? Do you think this will sort of breathe a little bit of new life into that sort of, there is a path. If you do get loaned or you do get sold, it isn't over. There is a future for you at this club. If you go on and do good, just because you've taken maybe a different route to Foden. I feel Foden has created this perception that unless you follow the Foden route of sticking there and waiting for your chance, you're finished. I think this breathes a little bit more life and say, there are other avenues. Yeah, let's bring Palmer back. Come on.
But I would differ with you only from the standpoint of there's only 3 keepers in the club, right? And so if you're a young keeper and you're not one of those 3, then you have to go out on loan. And there's a better chance for you to come back because, you had to leave to go get game time. These other players that are leaving, they're not, Cole Palmer left, right? He decided he wanted to leave or wanted to go out on loan or whatever, right? Well, there were plenty of spots available for him and he could have got game time. He may not have got the game time that he wanted. I just don't know that Pep, the club, whoever, I guess ultimately, do I think it changes? No, I don't think it changes the conversation very much. Although I would use it, I would absolutely point to it and say it, but I don't know that it makes a difference to those players that aren't keepers. If you're an outfield player, if you're Rico Lewis, who's gotten game time, don't get me wrong, or if you're Nico O'Reilly, let's use him as a better example. I don't know that this changes anything for you. He's gotten some minutes. I'm trying to think of a better example. I don't know. Maybe it does. I hope it does. That's my hope. I hope that it does. I'm not confident that it does. Let's say it that way.
Yeah. I'm of the opinion that the only thing that will change the perception for academy kids is it's probably when Pep leaves, to be quite honest with you. Because I think that we've just seen from his time here that he doesn't. Obviously, he's given. There's been Foden. There's been Rico Lewis. Like obviously, we've seen a bit of O'Reilly last season, but he's a midfielder who's playing his minutes at left back and is probably not looking at any midfield minutes next season either. But I think that. Yeah, I just think that realistically, that our academy is always going to be full of very, very talented players who are either just going to have to accept that they'll sit on the bench for the first 3 years of their life at City or leave. And realistically, I think that, and the other thing with Pep as well, and this is, I don't know if this is a Pep thing or a club thing. I suspect it's probably a Pep thing. Is that once you make the decision to say I want to leave, the odds of Pep thinking like you're mentally just gone in Pep's mind. Like he isn't bringing you back. Like, and I think that McAtee was a bit of a rare exception to that last summer, but I think that was literally in direct response to the fact that we'd let Palmer go the summer before that. So yeah, I wouldn't suspect that this changes very much at all in terms of like our academy kids sort of perspective on it. Like no one's going to think, oh, sick, if I go to Burnley for 2 years, I'll get bought back again. But maybe the only other thing is maybe this shows that Viana isn't totally closed off to it. Maybe that's the only thing. But I think as long as Pep's here, realistically, I'm kind of with Tariq on the Trafford side of things. I think that's just because he's a goalkeeper, and I think it's a very different situation to a winger or a midfielder or whatever.
If we had gone and brought back Delap, right? We had a buyback on Delap. Go bring him back. We had a buyback on any number of these players that we could have used. I mean, heck. And again, maybe people will say, well, they're just not good enough. And that's probably the issue. I don't know. But we needed center backs. We didn't go get Taylor Harwood-Bellis. We went and got two young kids from.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
We needed centre mids, and we didn't go for Douglas Luiz, who we had a buyback on for like 3-4 years while he was doing very well in the Premier League at the time. Like there's all these kind of players that we have it, and we have gaping holes in our squad that these players could fix. And we rarely turn to the buyback. And like you say, that could just be because they're simply not good enough. And maybe that is true. I mean, you don't know until they step up into that sort of City level and we see it. But there is definitely an element of there's been more. For me, there's been more instances, far more instances of a buyback clause has been there for a position in a squad that we might need to use that buyback that we've just ignored. Rather, I don't think one instance of buying Trafford now changes that really very much at all.
Okay. But I do hope it does, though. I hope it does, because then again, it says to these players, hey, there's an opportunity. And again, maybe it's not. Maybe we just need Viana to really step in and fully take the reins. Pep out, not really Pep out like that, but once Pep leaves, once Pep leaves, my bad. I didn't mean that way.
Hey, have a fucking word with him then, ref. Hey.
I will take no slander. That was a slip of the tongue.
I think McAtee will be a good barometer of this. If we sell McAtee to Frankfurt or Dortmund or whatever, and we have like a 40-50 mil buyback on it, and we never ever activate that, and he tears it up in Germany, and we never ever activate that buyback, then it doesn't matter how good you are. As long as you're out, you're out. So who cares?
Yeah, facts. All right, good conversation. Let me do this last super chat before we move on to the right back. How does the panel feel about Fernandinho? I spoke about it before. What are you guys saying about Fernandinho? You happy? This is the rumor anyway.
I was gonna say,
it cannot be a bad thing.
Absolutely. I'm all for having City players, legends in and around the club, right? I think because again, there's a, you get to share that heart and the heartbeat, and knowing what it means to be a City player and all that. Yeah, I think you can never have too many around as long as they can do the job. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Get to have a letter back in, man. I remember that video he did when he left, when he told all those fans, it's like, maybe I'll come back one day in a different role, and now he's fucking Albania's assistant manager. Yeah. Like, how can that be more appealing than coming back?
Well, no, it did doing media work, so he did technically come back doing it.
Oh yeah, there we go. So he wasn't lying technically.
He got the job on a technicality, right? So right back. Final conversation before we wrap the show up. Chat, let us know your thoughts as well in the chat about this right back situation. Where you at this with now? Smash these likes up as well if you've not done so already. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Do we think? I'm just going to ask the question, right? Because I want to know what you guys are saying. Do we think this Tino Livramento deal is affected in any way by Trafford, i.e., homegrown? We don't really need him as much. We can potentially look at if we get rid of Gundogan and Akanji and Kovacic, we probably can bring in a non-homegrown player, or we go and get Fernandez, who's under 21, for Premier League reasons. Where are you at with this right back? Where do you think City are going to go? Tariq, I'll start with you. Where do you think City are going to go with this right back? Do you think Tino we're going to carry on trying getting him, or do you think we're going to go elsewhere, or do you think we're not going to sign anyone at all?
I think we're going to try for Tino. I just don't think we're going to be. I don't know that we're going to be able to pull it off. I don't think this move will make us or position us in Newcastle's graces any better. So I think there's no reason for them to try to work with us. So I see us having to either go get someone else or just accept the fact that we're going to rock with Nunes this season and call it a day. But I don't know. I think the Fernandez, I've never seen Fernandez play. I don't have any idea. But the idea of another young player fits with how we've been building the squad recently. So I could definitely see that, not because I think he's so great, but just because I could see that's how we're building the squad. But we'll have to see. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah. I think that's probably fair. I hadn't actually considered really that Trafford coming in as a homegrown player reduces that need for our right back to definitely be homegrown. Like I would imagine that the club's number one dream target is probably still Livramento no matter what. Because and
he's young too, so he has both.
Yeah, he's young, he's English, he can play left back and right back. Like I mean, he's literally the perfect signing for that position, isn't he? Really, and I think that he's definitely good enough. And I just think the problem is that if we sign someone else this summer, like, are we signing someone who like definitely? Do we just sort of accept that we're signing someone who? Yeah, well, there you go. That kind of says it there, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, at the end of the day, that if you're paying more for a goal, because I remember we had this discussion last time I was on, I think, and that was at the time where we didn't think we were getting any goalkeepers, so we thought, look, we've got loads of money here that we'd obviously put aside at one point, thinking we're going to need a goalkeeper. That we can just go, right, well, fuck it, let's just put it all into the right back position. Yeah. But obviously now that's
why
not
we
thing
thought
anymore.
we was going to get Livramento, didn't we? Because we was like, we don't need a goalkeeper because Ederson said he's going to stay. So that's 40 million that we've saved. So that's why we thought City would go to Newcastle and say, fucking hell, I know you don't
here's all the money in the world.
Fucking 80 million quid for Tino Livramento.
I think that now that kind of money it will be spent on a goalkeeper, whether hopefully it is Trafford, but if not, then it's going to be another goalkeeper. Do we look at just signing someone who we think is fine for this season with the view to still go for a Livramento next summer, maybe? Or do we just go, look, the guy no longer has to be homegrown. We've identified someone who we think is good enough, like to be the first choice, like the undisputed first choice right back, who is not homegrown. And do we just go and do that deal instead? I don't really know. My thought is that we probably just go in with Nunes, and then, I mean, Martin was saying before in the chat that we're looking at extending the contract of Rico Lewis. Like, how do we do that if we're just signing right backs that give him no reason to be anywhere near the squad, because he's not going to play in midfield with the number of midfielders we've got there? So do we just accept that Rico is still our backup right back and just do that and have Nunes and Rico as our two right back options? Like, I think maybe well, we might not like it, but what's really the alternative? Like, we don't have any, like, there aren't many right backs in the market really.
Let me ask you guys a question, Danny. Let me ask you this.
Yeah, go on.
And I'm asking this just because of the sort of question posed there by Joe. Are we even certain that Nunes' future is secure at the club? Could he potentially leave towards the end of the window if City are like, yo, we need to maybe move him on and replace him? Like, could he go maybe?
Oh, I don't think it's 100% certain. I think if we sign someone, he's definitely gone ahead of Rico. But then again, he has been pretty much a fixture on our side for months now. So I really don't know. I don't think he's certain to stay, as people would think. He's not like your Gundogan level where he's almost certain to go out the door. But I definitely think it's possible.
I definitely don't think it's a matter of the club saying, "Oh, we want to keep you," or you can't go or whatever. If we found somebody else, I think they would let Nunes go in a heartbeat. He's shown himself, like, I said this before, like the Zinchenko's of the world, who's willing to fight for his spot. So far, that's worked out for him. There's going to come a day when it doesn't, and he's going to have to go, or he's going to be sitting. But yeah, I think if you're asking the club, I think they would absolutely, if there was an offer that came in, like, yeah, feel free, go ahead.
Yeah,
because I think they would feel like they could improve that position.
And also, if you're getting a fee for Núñez, then you can just chuck that into the right back, can't you? You can just go, right, well, suddenly we have this. Realistically now, I think, especially if we sign Trafford, we're not getting Livramento this summer no matter what. I think that the idea of that happening is just, it's dead.
I agree.
Like, there's just no way it can happen. I think that they're probably very reluctant to sell players to us anyway because of, the whole Saudi thing. They don't really want to be giving us, I doubt they want to give us their best players regardless, no matter what. But I think particularly when we've just gone, right, that keeper that you want, we're going to get him instead now, actually. Probably makes it even less appealing for them to do any kind of business with us. So I don't think Livramento, certainly not this summer anyway. Maybe that changes next summer if their financial situation still continues to be a bit of a problem. But this summer it's dead. So if we are sort of talking about the idea that maybe Núñez goes, I don't think that happens personally. I think Núñez will stay because I don't think Núñez is going to really unless Núñez decides to suddenly kick up a fuss and want to leave, or somehow we get like a 30-40 million bid from some club somewhere that's willing to take him off our hands and we have someone lined up, then cool. But for me, I'm kind of fully expecting us to just go into next season with Núñez and Rico.
I think that's bad. I don't think that. I'm positive about one. I think that's bad.
But we've gone into previous seasons with Delph and or Zinchenko as our only left back option. Like I think I don't like it either. But I think this current right back situation is still better than seasons where we've
wing back position.
I discussed this the last time I was on. Delph and Zinchenko weren't super sustainable. They had their seasons, but the season after they fell off. 21-22 Zinchenko was nowhere close to the 2021 version. 18-19 Delph was an absolute
yeah.
I've been over that many times. So I think in the short term, sure it could work. It's just not sustainable.
Yeah, and that's the key. The question is, can we position Núñez this season, just this one, and get a tune out of him, do enough to get us through until next summer and we can find the right back if we can't find one now. But I don't think it's sustainable to say we're going to have him be our right back for the foreseeable future 2-3 years.
No.
It's not realistic.
Yeah, he hasn't even had a season.
Somebody asked about Tarek Lamptey. I like the name, so let's bring him in.
He hasn't even like Núñez hasn't even had a season. Like he spent the first half of the season being our left winger. Like he only came in as a right back really for the last 3-4 months. Like I think if he's given, I don't like it. I'm pretty sure last time I was on this panel I was saying that I would happily get rid of him because I don't think he's good enough. But I think that if we are going to be in a situation where Livramento's off the table, then I'm kind of fine with us just keeping him and just that being the case. And then maybe you do sign like a Fernandez at right back who's like the young kid who can sort of be the backup to him for a year. And then maybe next season either Fernandez has got that ability to step up a little bit, or you do bring in a Livramento and you've got two legitimately good options like who can cover, obviously Livramento can cover both full-back options. Fernandez is there as a right back as well. That would be fun. As like Tarek said before, I've never seen Fernandez kick a ball in my life. I don't know how good he is, but if there's rumours there that we're going to sign him, and obviously Porto valuing quite highly, then I'd be fine with that. But I think the problem really comes down to the fact that
what you currently got
that does complicate things with then having to get rid of Núñez and if ultimately there's no buyer for Núñez, then
I think there'll be a buyer for Núñez, and he'll only have 2 years left for his contract next year anyway, so it'll be cheap anyway. In an ideal world, right? If we don't get Tino Livramento, I'd be watching this massive Fernandez guy at Porto like a hawk, mate. Yeah, I'd be watching him because, and this is because you guys in the chat are gassing him up, telling me that he's the next Nuno Mendes. I've never seen him.
I'm a fan as well. I don't think he's necessarily stylistically similar to Nuno Mendes. I think that's just a Portuguese profiling. But I do think he's a good player. And like I said the last time, he's very versatile. He can play as a right centre back in the back three, and he can get forward. So it's a good profile to have in the squad.
I'd be watching him, right? Because remember this as well. Remember, the reason I wouldn't be so certain on pulling the trigger on Fernandez right now is because he's played 2,400 minutes for Porto, and they're going to command a hefty fee, and I think that's a bit mad. There's nothing stopping us, by the way. Someone said it in the chat a minute ago. There's nothing stopping us going and getting him in January. we start the season off. Remember that January transfer window's there to be used. And don't tell me that we can't buy players in January because we just spent 175 million in January. There's nothing that there's nothing wrong with us waiting it out, going into the season with Nunes on Rico because you don't lose the league in that first period, yeah, and you don't Champions League and all that. Remember, it goes into February now, and you could get to January. You get to January, Nunes and Rico Lewis ain't working. Fernandes is cooking. Why wait to the summer? Why wait to the summer? Just go. You know what?
Have to pay a big fat premium on top of whatever you would have paid.
We did it for Marmoush. We didn't for fucking any of the players that we bought in January.
Hey, mate, if he's a good enough player for us, who cares what you're paying for him?
Exactly. That's another great point.
Yeah.
If he's good enough.
Yeah.
Because remember, Joe, the reason I'm signing him is because people are telling me that he's got Nuno Mendes potential. So if the reason I'm not signing him now is because I've not seen enough of him. Yeah, I've not seen anything. But surely City haven't seen enough in 2,400 minutes. You give him another half a season, you get to January. And by the way, this applies to any player. It's not just Fernandes. Like any right back out there. Yeah, you go. Let's get to January. Is it Van der Sar? Is it Fernandes? And you go, right, whoever it is in January, we're going to go get them then. You do not have to wait to the summer. And the club have just proved that we can sign players in January. And the club have just proved to us that they don't need to overpay to sign players. All them myths about January transfer windows, gone. Because City have just proved it in January.
Yeah. So my issue, though, and I absolutely agree that we've shown that it is possible, right? You can get a player out. The problem is the teams, there are certain players that teams just aren't going to be willing to part with. And if those are your targets, if those are your number one targets, then you find yourself settling. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad pick, but you're settling for a lesser player in the January window just because it's January. Again, we look, and I don't want to use any players because people will think I'm trying to throw shade their way, but would we have known that you could get Rodrigo in the summer window? Maybe we would. Maybe we would have known that in January because he wasn't really playing as much. But there are players that became available or that we found that were available in the summer that we're like, oh wow, maybe if we would have known they were going to be available, maybe we wouldn't have got player X in January because it would have left that spot open. But now that we made a decision, we brought a player in January. Now we don't have a spot in the squad for him. So now we can't take advantage of that quote unquote market opportunity.
Yeah, I hear it. But that January signing only needs to be made if things ain't really looking too great with Nunes and Rico. If Rico and Nunes, or even maybe Huzanov get some games and it's all cooking and everything's going fine, then you don't need to make that purchase in January. You say, you know what, we can't wait till the summer. The point that I'm making is I'm saying you could easily say, right, we're going to go into the season with this. January, we will make a decision 1st of January. Are we happy to go into the title running? Yeah, the main event, the Champions League knockouts. Yeah, and if we're still in Carabao Cup, the final that will be coming up in March, and the FA Cup, are we happy now to get into the serious meat and potatoes with Nunes and Rico? If they've been slamming it and Nunes is looking mint, yeah, chilling. If we're going then I think we should strike. And if we strike because of that, and then we get to the summer and someone becomes available, I just think you got to go, well, it is what it is. We acted as a proper club and we signed the players to help us succeed that season rather than waiting.
But then also, what do you do if Porto are thinking, we're just literally not going to sell you this summer, like this January, sorry. But if you want to go, you can wait till the next summer.
I think clubs like that sell, mate. I think if you put the money on the table, clubs like that sell.
Potentially, but we only got Nico G out of there because he had a release clause. Like, would they have done that if that wasn't the case? Like,
Fernandes will probably have a release clause though as well. No, he'll probably have one.
Potentially, and if he does, then that makes our job a lot easier because we don't have to worry about any sort of negotiations or anything like that. But until it's reported that he does have one, I'm not gonna assume that he does. I'm just gonna assume that we're in a situation where we're gonna have to pay. Because like I know you mentioned Marmoush before. Like yeah, we didn't overpay in January compared to what he was doing in January. But if we'd have signed Marmoush last summer when we sold Alvarez, he wouldn't have been a £75 million player. He'd have probably been like a £50-60 million player because he wasn't in the midst of one of the most like insane 6 months of football that we'd seen from a player in the Bundesliga for some time. So I think that, I don't know, I think it's, obviously again, this comes back to the idea that it's not my money and why do we care? But if that's the case, and just sign Livramento now. Like, don't worry about it. Like, just do it. Like, I think if it comes down to but money is a factor when it comes to this kind of stuff.
But again, to use that sort of argument, what about if Newcastle just say now he's not available?
Well, exactly, and I think that will be the case, which is why I think that if you're going to do that, and if the club have decided, right, Fernandes is probably going to be the guy, just if we're all agreed here that Núñez is just like a 1 year short term option, then just fuck that off and just get Fernandes in. Like, why are we bothering with the 1 year option when the long term guy is right there?
Because they're not sure if Fernandes is good enough for long term because he's only played 2,400 minutes.
He's only played 2,400 minutes for Porto's first team, but I'll be amazed if City haven't been watching like most minutes of his entire youth career and his Portugal youth career and stuff like that. That only tells you so much about a football because of the level that it is. But City will have been watching, like, look at Mbappe. Like, we wanted to buy him from Monaco the year before he actually had his breakout year at Monaco. Yeah. Like, we're obviously, clubs are obviously able to like identify this talent before it actually properly breaks through at first team level. So if we're looking at him now, and particularly as well with Viana, he'll know all about him, having been in Portugal for the last however many years it's been. So
no, I agree with you. Viana is more risk-taking, and obviously he's done it with Hayes, he's done it with Huzanov and that. So even though I'm saying this, the club haven't demonstrated that that's how they act. The club are currently demonstrating that they are willing to gamble. They're willing to gamble on Trafford. That's a gamble. They've gambled on Huzanov. They've gambled on Vita Hayes. Yeah, the lesser extent, obviously. Cherky's a bit of a gamble, but clearly not in the same bracket as the other players. So maybe they will. Now, I've not seen any links. I've not seen any links to Fernandes. We're just throwing it out there because he's the guy that people are gassing up as saying he's going to be the next big thing. I don't know. I still think they're going to go all in for Livramento. I just think they're going to just be.
I think it's Livramento or bust. I think if we don't get Livramento, which we won't, then we'll just carry on with what we got. I think that'll just be. We're just going to have, once again, we're going to have another year where everything looks great, except for one glaring position in the squad where it's not great, and we're just going to have to sort of work around it.
You just need Núñez to hold it down for a year and just do what Danny was saying before. Do a Delph year, do a Zinchenko year. You know what I mean? Because both of them done good, and then it all just come sort of like falling apart, doesn't it? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's not sustainable. You can get away with it. The question is, have we already got away with it?
Yeah. That's the real question.
Well, he's just done 6 months and he's done good. Have we now got away with it? Are we going to be sitting here in 4 months' time going, why the hell did we not sign a right back? Like, what were we thinking? You know?
I was going to ask the same thing about Rico Lewis, to be honest with you. We playing him at right back and he's filling in, he's doing a job, but we know that's not where I don't believe that's his best position. We're asking him to fill in just like we're asking Núñez to fill in, just like we asked Zinchenko and Delph and others to fill in. It's almost like, there comes a point, each of those players only has a small window of success. Maybe Rico's will go longer, and he's got to get out of that position and get into the midfield somewhere.
I think Rico, I've said this for a while now, but I think they're just both fundamentally different types of right backs. Like, Rico's mint.
Oh, yeah, definitely play the game differently.
Yeah. He's great if we're playing great, and he's someone who, and then we're dominating. He can then move into midfields, that extra man, like he did at the start of last season, like he did in the treble season when he came in. Like, I think that. I've personally seen enough from Rico to be quite comfortable with the idea of him playing right back if, as a squad, we're fit and firing and everything's looking good again. Now,
I agree.
Are we going to be like that next season? That's a huge question mark, and realistically, for the first 6 months of the season, almost certainly not realistically. But I think he has a place in the squad long term, and the fact that the club are seemingly quite open to the idea of giving him a new deal at some point, like I imagine Pep and the club believe so as well. And it's not going to be in midfield, given that we keep buying new midfielders all the time. So it's probably going to be at right back to some degree. And I just think that, for me, Núñez is the one where if you're going to sign a right back who can do that sort of like bombing up and down the pitch, getting crosses in at the byline kind of thing. If you're going to bring in another right back who can do the exact same thing, then why would you have him and Núñez when they're both kind of the similar kind, except one's a midfielder who's just been shunted there at right back, and the other one is actually a right back who has been a right back for his whole career.
I hate,
so that's kind of my feeling.
I think it's more the case of like we've got two right backs at the club who aren't right backs.
See, I think Rico is a right back, but he's just like a Philip Lahm type right back. And obviously Philip Lahm's a lot better. Philip Lahm was genuinely a very good defender as well as that. And that's maybe the bit where Rico isn't quite as good, but he's still got some defensive ability. It's just that unfortunately he's a fucking 5'9" like guy.
He's
and
not
you can't
5'9". He's like 5'7".
Yeah, that's generous.
Okay. Whatever, 5'7". I don't know how tall he is.
I'm 5'9" and 3/4, and I would tower over him. No, I'm just kidding.
I think he's, but regardless, like at the end of the day, like Rico's limitations are physical, and there's nothing that he can do about that. And that's just like his height is his height. But I think that what he can do from right back is valuable for our team. It's just that, you know, that's, as I said before, that's only really good when we're on it, and when we're like, you know, when we play like peak Man City, when we've got the ball for like 70.
I said that last year. I think when he's at that right back position, I think he is a luxury player. You know, because I don't really remember us having these conversations 2 years ago or even 3 years ago.
No, we never did. Look at the start of last season. Yeah, the start of last season when he was genuinely like probably our best player for the first month. Like no one was talking about, oh, he's a shit right back. Like it's just that then from that point on, the whole season fell apart when Rodri got injured, and then like suddenly everybody's being individually exposed as a defender. And it wasn't just Rico Lewis who looked bad in that situation. It's basically every single one of our back four looked bad in that situation. Yeah. So I'm kind of loath to put it all at Rico Lewis's feet and say he's the standout shit defender in our team, when everybody who, without the cover of Rodri and with the unks in front of them, in their one-to-one, in their one-on-one defending situations, looked shit for most of last season. You know, I'm not blaming the 20-year-old academy kid when, you know, when you know, Diaz, Gvardiol, Akanji, Ake, they all looked crap at some point last season. They all looked shit in defensive duels last season. So, yeah, I'm not really that harsh on Rico for that reason.
Yeah, now here I'm just struggling to get behind going into a season with Nunes and Rico as my two right backs. I'm really struggling with it. Because, like, you know, last year was fucking shit, mate. Yeah, and we've rebuilt the squad. We spent a load of money. Nah, it was, mate. Yeah, it was hanging, mate. Yeah, and we've rebuilt the squad. Yeah, got some decent players in, Reinders, Cherky, and Marmouche. Yeah, we've built the squad up. I feel like we've got a deeper squad, and I just feel that like. Why are you just leaving that one position, man? Like you've done the strikers, you've got the wingers, you've got the midfield, you've got the left back, you've got your centre backs, you're getting your new goalkeeper. Why you just leave that, man? And it's going to piss me off even more. We've not had a proper left back at this club for like a decade.
And as soon as
we finally get one. Yeah.
You're joking me, man. So yeah, I don't know. But then again, you know, we come back to the same conversation that we have about all positions. Football is dead. Where are all the right backs? Where are the players?
Talent train.
This is why it is Livermento or bust. Like, who else is there? Like, I know everyone's chucking names in the chat here, but not a single one of them's been linked with us. So what's the point? Like, they're obviously not realistic if we've not even had a sniff of any kind of contact with them over the last 6 months. So yeah, it's Livermento or no one. We aren't being remotely linked with anybody who plays that position apart from Livermento. So I don't see what we do. Obviously, we had the Wesley links. They seem to be pretty much dead now. So
yeah,
I'm not seeing it. So I'm not seeing any kind of serious, you know, potential to get anybody else in if it's not him.
Yeah, no, I hear it, man. I hear it. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't know what we're going to do. Let me just do this last super chat before we wrap it up. Shout out to Abdallah, says we have right back one option at the club without Nunes. We have right back one option at the club.
I have right back one option.
Why have only one? I think it's why have only one right back option at the club with or without Nunes.
He's not including Rico.
Oh,
yeah. Which is fair. I don't think he's a right back. Joe does. Well, I don't know, but probably because if they can't get Tino, who are they going to get?
Yeah.
But what I do want to do, here's what I do want to do, no fucking about next. Listen, I think they should sign a right back personally, right? Because I don't like the idea of going into the season with Rico and Nunes. If they do go into the season with Nunes and Rico, no fucking about next summer. I want you to go out there and buy the best fucking right back.
It's got to be number one priority, and it's got to be like
because at that point, the goalkeepers are sorted, the centre backs are sorted, your left back sorted, your midfield sorted. You might need one midfielder. and you might need a winger if Docker and Savio. That's 2 players. I want you to go and get me the best fucking right back on the market next summer. But I still think you should probably make a move this year, personally. But yeah, listen, anything else from you lads? Any other talking points before we wrap it up? No?
No, man.
Seems good.
Sweet. All right, then. Big up to you, boys. Make sure you guys are smashing the likes up, man. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. Of course, Joe's on the City Ramble pod with Amos and the lads. Make sure you guys are checking that out. Daily podcasts and that. Spotify, other podcast apps, and they upload some YouTube videos as well. So make sure you check them out. Make sure you guys are checking out Not in My Lifetime, YouTube, Bevel, Luke. Go give that a follow as well. Content regular from them as well. And then obviously, Tarek, bro, what are you doing your fucking 2 a.m. streams at fucking Thursday? What's going on, man?
Hey, anytime you want to jump on, more than welcome. Every Thursday night. I don't know when we're going to start back up. I know we're starting our recordings back up on the 4th. So maybe that 7th will be the first Thursday night lit stream. But yeah. So if you're a listener out there and you just night owl and you're in England, you're a night owl and you want to be up late at night, jump on with us on Thursday nights. More than welcome. The more the merrier.
Yeah, man. Shades of Blue. Go check it out. Come out says Cafuna's season. Joe, stay on the other side. We'll see, bro.
You get so much hate, man. You get so much hate.
Cafunes.
Nah, I tell you what, though, Camaro, yeah, you better be brave as well, bro, because the way you've been propping up Cafunes, if he turns out to be shit, mate, you'll get it. Don't go missing. Yeah, don't be changing your YouTube name and your profile picture, yeah? Don't be changing it, because if he turns out to be shit, Cafunes, next year, yeah, you got to hold that smoke as well. You've been dishing it out a lot. So, you know, you're there on the Cafunes, man. Nah, big up, bro. It's good to see you in the chat, man. I built Danny, man. Come on, what's happening with you, bro? Have you had a shave?
Have I had a shave? Yeah. Takes me far too long, but yeah.
Come on, bro. What are you saying? What's been happening with you?
Nah, man, just chilling.
Yeah.
Not much. I'm going gym now. I wasn't going gym before. I'm going gym almost every day now, and I'm cooking, so yeah.
Yo, come on, bro. Love to see it, man. Come on, man. Same goes the other way. He says, I got a list growing. Big up, Kamau. Funny guy, man. Right, we'll leave it there. Big up to you, lads. Big up to the panelists, as always. Appreciate you guys' time. If that's not enough, there's a 3-hour stream that I did before. You know what I mean? So you can go and watch that. Yeah, 5-hour streaming done today, man. Yeah, I did say to you guys, as soon as the actual news, I will do some streams, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? So we'll there. I'm going to do a Sver, is it called Sver Naipan? Reaction video to checking out his 4K drills and skills. That'll be up on More LB tomorrow, so make sure you check that out as well. But yeah, big up to you guys. Smash a like on the way out. Does a world of good. I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.